Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Friday Nightmares podcast. This is episode number 57, where we are going to be talking about British horror, continuing our horror from around the world theme. With you today, as always, is Mr. Smoke Show Crawford, coming to you from the town of Swartz Creek in the county of Genesee, in the state of Michigan, in the United States of America, in the North American continent, in the Western Hemisphere, on the planet Earth, in the Milky Way galaxy. I'm fully vaxxed, waxed, boosted, and ready to climax. And if you can, please get me wet, feed me after midnight, and I am the man known with Laurie's beard.
Don't you have a new nickname, Scott, though, that someone gave you yesterday on a signed autograph?
Oh, I am also known as Scott Housen.
That's his AEW in-ring name.
We will get to that. We will get to that.
So, and with him, as always, is Heather Powell, coming to you from Waterdown, Ontario, Canada. Getting ready for my trip to the UK. Thank you, Scotty, for I guess like somehow I decided that this is just what we were going to do, was pick apart all the countries of the UK, plus all the films are in English, so you can watch them at work.
Right, makes it a lot easier.
That was the other thing too. And yeah, so this will be our last episode, just to let everyone know, for a couple of weeks. Scott and I will not be recording again until the weekend of May 21st, 22nd. And then Scott will release that a week later. So that will be May 27th. So there'll be about 3 weeks or so with no episodes, just with me being away for 2 weeks. And then obviously you need a week to come back and watch the films that we would be talking about for our next episode.
And also figuring out our theme and all that.
Yes. And all that kind of jazz too, which I'm sure I'll have lots of time to think about. But yeah, so thank you for listening. And if you don't hear from us for a couple of weeks, we will be back. This isn't like controllers up, cards down. I run this show, not Scotty. So it means that it will return. So we look forward to touching base with all of you again at the end of May. But in the meantime, we do have lots to share. As we talked about before, Scotty came up here last weekend.
Sure did.
For my birthday. And we went to Niagara on the Lake. And we went to the oldest inn in Canada, which is only 200 years old. We had some drinks and we went looking for the ghost, and neither one of us saw him.
Unfortunately, I went down to the basement where he's supposed to be haunting, and even just said, "Hey, I'm American. Come on out, say hi." Nothing. But you know what? Not all Americans get along with other Americans, so I get it.
Right. And you know, of course, like whether you believe in ghosts or not, I find that basement creepy as fuck. I hate being down there.
As hell.
Oh my God. And like the best part about this inn is it's still built relatively, like you can tell that people were smaller during that time. We were beside the loudest table known to man.
Oh my God.
It was Good Friday, and here in Canada that's basically a stat holiday, so restaurants are open. We also went for all you can eat sushi and ate like fat whales like we like to do when we go for all you can eat sushi.
Oh, it's so good. And you know, so like a lot of people, it's party time, right? And this is the first April in 2 years that Ontario has not been in lockdown. So this is the first time people have been able to go out on a Good Friday in literally years. So I think everyone is out in fine form. A real treat is that Scotty and I watched a 2022 together in person. Yes, in person. It's been years.
Literally years since we've done that as well. We watched them virtually together.
Yeah. I was saying, actually, I think the only one we ever watched that was like in that year was Gretel and Hansel.
You're right. Well, I think you're right.
We did do the couple of the Into the Dark Hulu movies too, actually. I forgot about those.
And I think the year that Color Out of Space dropped.
Yes. Shit. Okay.
We did have, but not many. Like that's still like we're trying to go back in time. You and I like to literally 2.5 years ago, Scott.
Yeah.
Right. To think about what we watched, and yeah, like it's crazy. We still haven't been to the movie theater yet in a long time together. Gretel and Hansel was our last movie watching experience, but I like going to the movies in the States because the popcorn is like ridiculously big. Everything's ridiculously big, and
go big or go home in America.
Right. And, you know, we had a Gremlins experience together.
Oh yeah, we did.
That really started the friendship of that we have now. But you had a second Gremlin experience that we're going to talk about later on.
Hell yeah, I did.
And then Saturday we went to the historical site Dundurn Castle, where Scott posted some took some very inappropriate pictures of him with a cannon. And I've been meaning to post like me first saying, okay, Scott, you need to fire here. And then Scott's picture of him firing and what he's firing. It's pretty funny.
I'll say, I don't know what you're saying about inappropriate. I thought it was totally appropriate.
It just showed like the power of the smoke show.
Exactly. And,
right.
You know, even my mom, I showed the picture to my mom and my stepdad. And I said, you know, my stepdad, I think, may have rubbed off on me a bit. And I showed her the picture and she just slapped her forehead and goes, oh my God, yep, you are too much like him.
That's really funny. I love it. I love it. Well, it was, and then we went to the Curiosity store, which was interesting.
Yes.
They had like an auction or something or a talk going on when we were there, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, like I think they were talking about like a lot of the paintings and stuff that were in the further back area. But yeah, that store was freaking creepy, interesting, and kind of disturbing with some of the things they had. Like a lot of the taxidermy shit was like really unsettling.
It really was. I hate taxidermy stuff.
Yeah.
It scares me. It really makes me uncomfortable. And then what else did we do? So then we kind of just chilled. Oh, well, you did get a gift for somebody. And I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, or.
Yeah, we ended up heading up, what was it?
Big B Comics.
Big B's Comics. And I went just kind of looking for something to get Mandy while I was out there. Cause I figured I'm like, no, it's a nice little souvenir. So I was looking around and ended up finding this like really cool Harley Quinn statue that was discounted like over half off. Cause like it had this tiny little chip in Harley Quinn's hammer. And I opened it up in the car and I'd never even seen the chip. I looked closely and I could not find it. So I don't know what happened, but I got a half off discount, so I'm not going to argue. And yeah, she loved it.
I bet she did. Yeah, it was very nice. And then Scott and I watched some music videos of different artists that we dig, and we watched Sarah Blackbird. Is that what she's called? Dark Sarah. She was great. And then was she the one that did the Snow White and the Red Rose song, or was that
was Blackbriar?
And we watched a whole bunch of music videos from, introducing, mostly Scott actually introducing me to some artists that he's been listening to, which were really great. Some really good fantasy, heavy rock. I've realized how much I actually really enjoy metal. Like I guess I didn't realize metal had so many different subgenres to it.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's heavy metal or just metal in general is just like horror, where it's just like there are layers of subgenres and they can all blend together and be used together. And yeah, there's all sorts of unique ones out there.
And I'm trying to see what was the name of the group that I really Ice 9 Kills.
Yep. Yeah, Ice 9 Kills, the one I brought up on the show like a while back.
Oh man, Scotty, you were right. Fucking awesome. I said to Scotty, we were listening to it all day Saturday when we were driving around, and I said, man, if they come, because like the chances of them coming to Canada are not as high as the chances of them coming to Detroit area. Right. And I was like, if they come, man, we're going. Like, it's not even like, buy me a ticket, I'll pay you back. Like, it doesn't, I'm going. I'm taking the day off work and I'm going. Definitely was totally my vibe, totally my jam. And we also watched amusement park videos. So Scott and I also like abandoned amusement parks or like creepy rides and shit like that. And I got him onto this crazy theme park YouTube channel, and it's great. If you like rides, this guy covers all different kinds of rides. And if you just want to turn off your brain and watch something relaxing, I totally fucking recommend it.
Yeah, and he showed in one of his videos something that was like, oh my God, I need to go to this. And then he goes, and it was closed down like 15 years ago and replaced. But it was a Gremlins themed dark ride that was out in Germany. I'm going, holy shit, that's amazing. It's like basically like a Warner Brothers studio, and the Gremlins come in and take over and just start causing havoc like Gremlins do. And
it was epic.
Yeah, it was freaking sweet. I was like, oh my God, I need to go to this. And then they're like, yeah, it closed down a while ago. I'm going, oh.
Scott's like, you motherfucker.
It's like, someone find those gremlin puppets and bring them to me.
Bring me the puppets, is what Scott said. And then, of course, I dressed up in my leather outfit. For those of you who are personal friends with me, you would have seen it. Other people saw Scott and I's video. I would like to shout out one of our listeners who gave me the nicest compliments. And I'm not going to say his name. He knows who he is. he said something. He sent me a private message and he said, "My wife told me I'm not allowed to comment on this picture." And I think it was, you know who you are. And I got to tell you, that made my night. So thank you so much. I thought that was the funniest shit I had ever read.
Yeah, that shit was
and complimentary. Hilarious. And like, that's actually a really big compliment. So very, very kind. One person wanted Scott and I to change outfits. And they wanted to see him in the leather corset. I don't think that corset would have fit Scott though. Like I think he would need a size up or two because he's got a big chest. Like he's broad. Like he has broad shoulders and shit. So I don't know if that would have fit him too well.
I would have tried nonetheless. I would have looked.
You would have. You probably would have actually. You would have gone out and you would have fit in at the drag show. The drag queens would have been confused. They would have been like, "Are you performing tonight?"
I'm performing on my own.
Yeah, you're like by myself in the bathroom. I'll be lip syncing alone. So then we went to Hamburger, which is our usual go-to, had some yum food. And then we went to Absence and we met up with two of my friends there who joined us, but it was pretty busy. I think it was busier than when you were there before.
Yeah, that was
right.
Packed.
It was pretty packed, and that's not as packed as it was on Halloween, Scotty. Like a picture of upstairs packed, downstairs packed, like people hanging out on the staircase. Because there's this kind of like romantic staircase that takes you up to where the washrooms are, which are the furthest thing from romantic. The washrooms are pretty gross, but I don't know.
No,
I think they're as bad as the shit in Flint. So.
Well, I mean, it's a nightclub bar where people are drunk, especially the men's bathroom. It's going to be disgusting. No matter where you go, if it's a bar and people are getting drunk, the bathrooms are going to be disgusting. That's just unfortunately how it is.
You're right. So I drank a lot. Spoiler.
Yeah, hell, I drank a lot.
I vomited when I came home, Scott. Did you hear me throwing up?
No.
Oh.
I had a feeling you might have had to the next morning. I didn't expect it that evening.
Oh yeah, that night. So anyway, Scott can retell his part of the evening, but this is what I remember. I remember showing up. I remember my friends coming. I remember a couple of drag queen performances. I remember grinding to Getting Dirty by Christina Aguilera and making George record me on his phone. Me dancing. Then there's a lot of blackness. Remember. And then I remember Anne leaving and me telling her to text me when she got home. And then I remember us smoking a joint outside. And that's when things turned. I don't remember much after that.
Yeah, because I was in and out a lot because I was getting a lot of social anxiety because I haven't been in a place that was like that packed and with that loud of music, and the bass was really getting to me. So I was like,
it was loud.
So I had to step outside quite often. And, but no, like all I know is you were on the dance floor majority of the night.
Oh, was I? Okay.
Yep. You and George were out there a lot. And then,
was Amber and Dave out there a lot?
Yep. Amber and Dave were out there a lot. I was just going to say that, your two work friends were there. I can't remember their names.
Brittany and Jeff.
Yeah, Brittany and Jeff. And they were, I think Brittany was on the dance floor. Jeff was kind of sitting back and just chilling.
Yeah.
But yeah, my experience most of the night was people watching outside because, good Lord, there were some interesting folk outside.
Oh, yeah. Hamilton's full of the finest people, Scotty.
Well, most of them were from the club and just having.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they were just out there just getting, they were hammered or smoking weed and just like, I was just shooting the shit with a lot of interesting people out there. And then, then there was like some homeless guy walking around who asked me for money. I'm like, sorry, dude, ain't got shit. He went up to the ladies next to me who were out there smoking, asked them, they had no money, but they gave him a smoke and he walked away. But while that was going on, there was a cop across the street looking at a car that must have been like parked for too long or something, or illegally parked, because he was taking a picture of the license plate and taking a picture of a couple of more things on the car. And while he was doing it, he's standing there. You can see he's like using his phone. The homeless guy is walking down the road. All of a sudden, he turns around and goes, "Are you fucking filming me? Motherfucker, are you fucking filming me?" And started like just raising his shoulders and like started walking towards the cop. And the cop's going, "Dude, chill the fuck out. I am taking pictures of this car." "That's right, you better be." He's like, "I can film you if you want me to." "Oh, that's why I'm getting pissed. You're fucking filming. Don't you fucking film me." Cop's going, "Dude, get the hell out of here." And the dude just like stormed off, like screaming, "Fuck you, motherfucker." Just like, I'm going, good old city life. Just
wow, Scotty, look at you. I was too busy trying to get dirty and rowdy like Christina Aguilera on the fucking dance floor.
no,
But
I'll say, being someone that is kind of a smoker, either like cigars or vape or whatever, I always find the more interesting conversations and things like that happen outside of venues, because that's where you have the people that do step outside to cool off or to smoke a joint or to smoke or whatever.
yeah.
And it's a way to just kind of bond with some other people a little more quietly and intimately. And it's a way to meet new people.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I though I had this, the last thing I remember, Scotty, before I left the bar, was I was pretty drunk and high. And I'm walking towards the bar to get a drink of water, and this young lady falls in front of me, and I'm helping her up. And this 35, he said he was 35. We met him outside, the creepy bald dude that was talking to us.
Yeah.
Is trying to intervene. He's like, I dropped her. And I'm asking her if she's okay. And he's trying to intervene, and I push him, and I'm like, I'm talking to her. Like, dude, you don't want to fuck with me. You probably don't want to fuck with me when I'm sober. You're probably not going to want to do this when I'm drunk, because she was obviously very inebriated like I was. So I'm trying to like make eye contact with her because I'm hammered, but I'm like, are you all right? Is this okay? Because she's like, no, it's fine. It's okay. He's just buying me drinks. It's all good. I'm like, are you sure? Because I can tell she looks maybe 21 years old, and this dude is not 35 like he said he is. He's definitely more like 45 or 50. And that's fine. You know what? As long as it's consensual, I don't give a shit about the age gap. That's not what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is it being consensual. So anyway, and then Jeff came over, Brittany's husband, and he's like, it's a big dude, right? He's like, everything okay? It was great. Jeff and I like ready to fuck shit up. But yeah, so George's dad picked us up, was just very kind. I could barely put together a sentence in the cab. I could barely talk. And I threw up and passed out in my clothes on my bed and woke up at 6 to feed my dog and had to get changed out of it.
Yeah, wow.
You went to bed. I don't even know what the fuck happened to you, Scott.
Yeah, because I had it like surprisingly, I drank a lot, but I was not like wasted. Like I was like I had a buzz the whole time, but I was not wasted. And I drank a lot. Like I'm thinking that I drink like I'm thinking they must not have made the drinks strong because they wanted you to buy more or whatever.
Oh man, I don't know. They were pretty strong for me, Scott.
Well, you were also drinking a lot of ciders
Doubles?
and things like that. And were you doing doubles too?
I think people were like, because I got the promoter bought me at the club, bought me some drinks because I buy him drinks sometimes, and I think he bought me a double.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense because I wasn't doing any doubles with mine, but I was doing like cranberry and vodka and stuff like that. And like, yep, I was like, I had a nice buzz, but I was not like wasted. I could still talk and think coherently, but by the time we got back, though, I was exhausted and crashed because I knew
it was like 2 a.m. Yeah, by the time we got home, it was after 2.
Yeah, and I had to also get up early because I had a drive ahead of me. Plus, it was Easter Sunday, so I had a family thing to go to, so I had to make sure to get home in time for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. So yeah, I came home. I think I went upstairs, threw on my gym shorts, and passed the hell out.
Yeah, I bet you did. It was a fun weekend. It was definitely our typical. We only went live once, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I wasn't feeling the best on Saturday.
Yeah.
I was a little under the weather, but we still partied through, and I would say had a pretty good time. And it was nice to be able to go out and celebrate my birthday after 2 years of lockdown, which it isn't the biggest deal in the world. But it was nice to be able to get out and do things and have fun again. And yeah, it was a really fun time, even though I made some very, very poor decisions. And because of that, I didn't drink much this weekend. I was in bed by 10:30 last night, Scott.
Wow.
Yeah, you can hear Mickey barking away. He's like, yeah, mama, you're a loser. But yeah, I was definitely done. And especially with my big trip coming up and the amount of drinking I'm probably gonna end up fucking doing in the UK. Not so much in Ireland, but definitely when I meet up with Mark and people and Kate and Matt.
Yeah, I was gonna say, God. Kate and Matt, you're in trouble.
Oh man, I'm gonna be making poor decisions left,
actually,
right, and center.
I don't know who's in trouble. I don't know if you're in trouble or if they're in trouble, but I think
we're all in trouble. Hold on. Mickey wanted in the room and was upset that the door was closed on him. I think we are all in trouble. I think there's going to be bad times all around. So But yes, I'm very excited to see them. And also, we recorded with Kate and Matt. That was a pretty big blast, was it not?
That was an amazing time. So yeah, like Kate and Matt, thank you guys for having us on because that was a ton of fun. We ended up, gosh, I think we recorded for like 4.5 hours or whatever, but it didn't even feel like it. And it was just because that was the first time we've all recorded together. We've recorded with Matt, obviously, but that was the first time we've worked with Kate, and like the two of us and then the two of them combined together. Oh man, so many freaking jokes, so perverse, and just so much fun. And we actually did some pretty good deep dives on the movies that I didn't expect to deep dive for a certain film, but we did go into it pretty well. And I'm like, but yeah, we had a lot of fun.
We definitely had a lot of fun. Please check out their podcast. It's The Eternal. Fuck, Scott, you say it.
The Eternal Darkness of the Not So Spotless Mind.
Bam. Kate is editing it today. She messaged me this morning because we're trying to make up plans for when I go out there. And her and I and Matt make poor decisions. I don't think it'll be as poor as the decisions I made on my birthday. I don't think I'll be like, there's every couple of months or so. Scott knows when this happens. This was the first time he was physically here for it, though.
Yeah.
There's been a handful of times over the last couple of years where I have got beyond intoxicated and not like, there was Halloween 2020, New Year's 2020 going to 2021. Was there anything last year? Yeah, so Devil's Night 2020. I think I was pretty drunk this last Halloween, and then my birthday. Like that's like when I throw up, that means I've had too much, and I didn't even know where I was. Like I literally woke up with my phone in my head, and my fucking skirt, my leather corset, my makeup smeared on my pillow.
Oh, you didn't even like change into like comfy clothes?
No, dude, I didn't. I fucking threw up and passed out on my bed. That's what happened.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. Like, I'm surprised you didn't hear it. I'm surprised you didn't hear me upchucking. It was loud.
Upchucking. What are you, from the 50s?
Oh man, I was definitely vomiting my fucking guts out because too much to drink. And then the weed, honestly, the weed fucking like it pushes it over.
When you drink that much and then do that, it always pushes you over the edge.
Like I know
for everybody. Yeah.
Right. So that will be, I'm not due to make any poor decisions like that for at least another 6 months. So we should have some time where like the other time is when, remember when you were locked down? Well, it wasn't really locked down, but the borders were locked down. It was Amber's birthday and you and I were doing videos back and forth. You were with Adam.
Oh God.
We were doing... Oh my God. That day we recorded and we sounded like we were fucking dying.
Yeah, because we were both just like, why did we challenge each other back and forth on these videos over and over and over again? It's like,
oh my God.
Because I don't think you realized how much Adam and I could drink. And I don't think we realized how much you and your ladies could drink. So we're doing the video thing, challenging each other. Like, oh yeah, one of us is going to stop at some point. No, we just kept going.
Oh, that was bad decisions as well that night. But anyway, here we are. So as we move into our 2022s, honestly, I hate to say it because I don't want to be that person. Nothing's overly stood out to me this year. Like a handful have, but nothing has really rocked my world. A couple have been really, really entertaining, but I don't know. I'm still feeling like 2020 was my favorite year so far. There were so many films I liked in 2020.
Yeah, there is one that everyone's been talking about that I have not had a chance to watch yet, but it sounds like right up my alley, and that's The Sadness. Because that one just sounds vile.
Sums up Scott's sex life. That's
oh God, no, no.
Oh no.
Well, let's not go there. No. From what I've heard.
Oh really?
Let's not no.
Hold on, now I want to Google it. You talk about it for a second. The Sadness.
Yeah, because I haven't watched it yet, but it's basically a zombie film. I think it was Taiwanese, but pretty much everyone said it is like probably the most vicious, uncomfortable, vile thing they've seen in a long time. But these zombies.
So yeah, your sex life.
No. Like there's shit where like zombies are sexually assaulting people. There's zombies.
Oh, that's true. You wouldn't do that.
Yeah, there's like zombies killing people and then skull fucking their head.
Oh man, that sounds like my kind of film.
There's some fucked up shit in this film from what I've been hearing, and
oh man,
one of my friends basically compared it to the comic The Crossed, and I thought that would never be a thing that could be compared to a movie because the Crossed comics are vile and horrifying and just disturbing and mean. And it's kind of what this movie sounds like it is. So I'm
It's
dying
coming
to
to
see
theaters. It's coming to theaters in Ontario.
Really?
I won't be here because I'll be on the other side of the world. You know what?
Wow.
Maybe if I got nothing to do in Dublin one night, maybe I'll go see the movie.
Hey, there you go. I'll be shocked if it comes to American theaters, like a full theatrical release.
I don't think it's full Canadian. It's select ones. It's actually in population groups where there's more multiculturalism, probably because there's more, people from different backgrounds will go see different films because it is a Thai film. But yeah, our Taiwan film. But yeah, it should be interesting. I have to check it out.
Yeah, I know it's on our good friends Plex, so I'm hoping.
Oh,
I will be watching it before our next. Before we record again.
I'll watch it, and then I'll have to remember it 3 weeks later. It'll be great. But we'll start off now. Scott, have you watched any of these films?
There's only 2 on this list. I have really slacked off with 2022's this last couple of weeks, mainly because work got busy, and I also fell down a rabbit hole of found footage films because I found this list of the best found footage horror films that are on Tubi, and so I was going through that list and watching ones I have not seen.
So translation, I'm the only one that takes this seriously. Scott does not.
Exactly. Scotty needed a break from the just bland 2022s that have been coming out.
Oh, they are bland. It's like fucking white rice all around. Anyway, all right. All right. We'll start with number 1 is Umma. This movie is an 83-minute runtime, and it stars the famous actress Sandra Oh, who is always a pleasure to see, actually. This is probably one of the better 2022s to come out this year. You got Sandra Oh in a film. You're not going to go wrong. She's a fucking awesome actress. A mother's love never dies. Amanda and her daughter live a quiet life on an American farm, but when the remains of her estranged mother arrive from Korea, Amanda becomes haunted by the fear of turning into her own mother. Kind of a mixture of a ghost story, I guess you could say. The runtime of 83 minutes is fine. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It moves rather quickly. I think this is a great film. I think it's well acted. I think it's suspenseful. I don't think it's overly shocking. It does anything really, really new for the genre, but I think the performances is what really sells this film. It is available on Microsoft Store, Vudu, Spectrum On Demand, DirecTV, and AMC On Demand. Next one, Hunting Souls. This one is a 93-minute runtime. It has a 2.6 rating on Letterboxd. Tim Davis gave it a 2-star rating, and Tim Davis is right. This is feels like a Lifetime film that has some demon shit in it. Haunted Souls is a story of an American couple who are dealing with their, I should say for Umma, a $3.99 rental is definitely worth it. $4.99 or $5.99, it's a high quality film. It's a film that you should watch this year.
Okay.
Hunting Souls on the other one, which is about, it's a story of an American couple who are dealing with the hardships of caring for their sick child, and they discover they are being haunted by a demon, is not worth a rental. Honestly, the acting here is very wooden. It's not overly believable. Some of the dialogue is just fucking painful. Like, it's just really, really hard to sit through. I didn't even think it was a great procession film, and the ending is just dumb. It's a really dumb fucking ending. I don't really recommend it, but if for some reason you're a completist and you like to watch all the procession films that have ever been out there, you can check this one out on iTunes, Google Play, Microsoft Store, or YouTube. Next, we have, you haven't seen this one yet either, have you, Scotty?
Nope.
And guess what? You're not going to want to. This movie is called The Institute, and it is, I think it's about an 85-minute runtime. It's basically about a young couple struggle with fertility, and they go to an institute to help them, through homeopathic remedies and other such things to get pregnant. And they are obviously, the institution is not what it seems. Ooh. And it is meant for evil intentions. Like, I don't know, this is a paint by fucking number movie. The problem was the acting and the writing was so poor that it made it a little bit painful to sit through. Like, this movie made the Tubi films look like Academy Award winning films. All right, in my opinion. I know we're going to talk about a Tubi movie on here in a bit. I know Lance wasn't a big fan of this Tubi movie that we're going to talk about. Lance, don't watch The Institute, because The Institute is worse than that Tubi movie that you didn't like. So not a fan of this film, but if for some reason you're really looking to watch stuff on people's fertility treatments, you can find this on iTunes, Vudu, YouTube, Microsoft Store, or DirecTV. I personally don't think it's worth the rental price, but definitely don't pay more than $2.99 for this. Now we have one that Scotty and I watched together. So this is going to be really cool. So Scotty, I'll let you introduce this one.
All right. So this movie is Choose or Die, which is on Netflix. And it is a story about this friends that find this computer game that basically is a choose your own adventure type game and forces you to make certain choices, and when you do, the choices of course are not very pleasant, and if you don't do it, you will die. So most of the choices they have to make end up involving someone they love being hurt in one way or another, or being killed. And I found this one to be like kind of a mix of Truth or Dare, and there was another movie that we were trying to compare it to.
It kind of reminded me of the movie that we saw that we both really loved with the guy that plays the video game.
Yes, Live Scream. Yeah.
Live Scream.
Yeah, so yeah, like it's kind of a mix of those, but it's more made for teenage type horror or young adult horror. It wasn't bad. Had some moments. The first two acts were okay. The third act is actually where it kind of picked up, and I was going, well, this was interesting. I liked where it ended up going.
Yeah,
I found this to just be a fun, like, it is one of those movies where you can just sit back and watch it with like some drinks and some friends, because we were talking over top of it and drinking and just having fun. And yeah, it was a good movie. Like, I mean, not good movie, but it was a good movie to sit there with friends and watch.
Yeah, like the three of us sitting there with Scotty, George, and I, it was fine. Like George enjoyed it too. And, it was like, I don't know. I kind of put this in the same realm as when we were kids and watched Final Destination and shit like that.
Yes.
And, Idle Hands and shit. Like, it's a teenage film. Yet again, this is meant for teenagers of today. And I thought it was fine enough. I thought the third act for me made it better. I did really enjoy the third act. I thought the conclusion was really clever, to be quite honest with you. But I think if you have Netflix, check it out. It's an 85-minute watch, and if you're just looking to put on something that's simple, easy to digest, it's easy to watch. Is it like the best film of the year? Of course not. It's definitely not. But if you're looking for something that you can just throw on the Netflix, chill out to, maybe you got a teenager at home or someone that's maybe interested in getting into horror, maybe they really like video games and the nostalgia of like 90s Carmen Sandiego and Oregon Trail and Doom, then fucking put this movie on and you'll have a good enough time with it. Is my thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's about pretty much how I'd feel about the two. Like, it's on Netflix, so it's worth watching. Like, it's not going to make anyone's list, but it's fun.
And it kind of reminds me, like, Netflix has come out with, like, There's Someone in Your House last year. People shit on that movie. It was meant for fucking teenagers. Fuck sakes. Like, it's meant for teenagers of this generation. Stop shitting on this generation. People shit on our generation. People shit on the generation before that. Just let people like what they like, man. Yeah. Like, it's a teenager film. If you want to watch it, turn off your brain and just have a good time. Have you seen this next one?
Nope. The only one I've seen is the very end of this list.
Okay. So the next one is called The Cellar, and this is on the Shutter in Canada anyway. And I think it's on the Shutter in the United States too. I think you guys have access to this one. Have you checked it all?
I have not. I don't even recognize the name of this one.
Okay. Letterboxd says that you guys have it. So we'll see. This is a 94-minute runtime, and it's starring Alicia Cuthbert, the heartthrob.
Oh, wow.
George was the one that recognized her. I did not recognize her. But he recognized her. He's like, I know her from somewhere. And like, he's like, I think it's Alicia Cuthbert. I'm like, really? It is? And of course she's, looks different because she's no longer fucking 20 years old, right?
Right.
Like, she's aged.
What movie is this though? Like, I don't think you say the title.
The Cellar. I did. Okay. It said The Cellar. Oh. It's a 94-minute run time. She stars in it, and I don't know, some other random people. No one else that I think most people would know. When Kira Wood's daughter mysteriously vanishes in the cellar of their new home in the countryside, she soon discovers that there is an ancient and powerful entity controlling their home, and that she will have to face it or risk losing her family's souls forever. Very much like a haunting kind of possession, evil spirit type of film. Not bad. Entertaining, enough for what it was. I think if you have Shudder and you're looking to watch more movies this year, I don't think you're going to hate your time with this. It doesn't overstay its welcome at 100 at an hour and a half, just over. The acting is fine enough. The ending is not really a surprise to avid horror fans. I don't think an avid horror fan would be like, "Oh, that's how it ends." No way. But it's good enough. Honestly, the acting in it is good enough. The plot is good enough. The effects are good enough. It's creepy enough. I don't know if it will be something that ends up on people's top 20 lists, but I think as a free watch on Shudder, or if you're paying for Shudder anyway, you might as well check it out. Nice. It is available though for rent on iTunes. It is on Shudder Canada. Oh shit, it's only on Shudder Canada right now. Oh. It's only available in Canada. So I assume it will eventually be dropped on another streaming service in the States. Maybe someone else is fighting for it instead of Shudder. Shudder could only get it on Canada. I don't know. Or maybe they'll drop it on the States later. So that would explain why you haven't seen it.
Okay, that makes more sense. Right? Might be one of our good friends' plexes, though. We'll find out.
Yeah, well, it is.
Okay.
So yeah, it is. So you can watch it on there if you want to. The next one just came out this week, and I went to watch it just wondering, like, it's going to be a typical infection film, and it's called Virus 32. It's a 90-minute runtime, and the virus is unleashed. A chilling massacre runs through the street of Montevideo. Probably didn't say that right, but fuck, is this a ride? Man, I felt like I was on a roller coaster the entire time.
Oh, no shit.
It starts off with like a little bit of a teaser of what's happening, kind of similar to the boys from County Hell.
Yeah.
And then it does a little bit of character development, and then it is balls to the walls.
Nice.
And it is go, 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 go for an hour and a half. It's like I felt like I was listening to dance music, like na 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 na. Like it was quick. And we're not reinventing the wheel here. This is nothing like an infection movie is an infection movie. They all basically have a very similar premise. This infection is very similar to 28 Days Later, the infection that's presented in there. Nice. The infected, I won't call this zombie. I guess you could go back and forth. I really don't give a fuck. But these are not zombies. These guys are angry. They're ready to fight and kill. So emotional, very emotional. Nothing that I think is going to yet again redo the horror genre, but it's fun and it's an easy watch. And I think if you got the Shuddy, it is well worth it. It is on American Shudder and Canadian Shudder. You can find it on there. So I recommend checking it out. Not on Children's Shudder, though. I don't know if Children's Shudder has picked it up yet. But soon.
That's a shame.
Children's Shudder can't get it all. But yeah, I definitely think out of the Shudder watches I've watched this year, this was probably one of my more enjoyable ones.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check this out then while you're gone.
Well, I've been gone. Scott's been watching horror movies for the first time.
Definitely feels like it.
Right?
Yeah, I guess I could talk about the next one because that's the only other movie I watched on this list.
I know, right?
But yeah, this is I don't know if it's a Tubi original, but I found it on Tubi when I was doing my found footage list, kind of scrolling through. This one had gotten suggestions. So I was like, oh, sweet, I'll watch it. Not realizing it was a 2022 release. So I was like, oh, sweet. Well, I'll be able to add it to my 2022 list then. But it's called Deadware, and it's based in, I want to say, the 90s. They're it's two friends.
The thing that's weird, Scott, is I think it's based in the 90s, but they use language like it's 2022.
They kind of do, yeah.
Right? Like I was kind of like, pick your decade. But anyway, it doesn't matter. That's right. A small critique. You know what I mean?
But yeah, this one was basically based in the 90s. Two friends that are, one's in, I think she said, what was it, Quebec?
I can't remember where she said she was.
Yeah, but yeah, she was basically out of the US, and it was her best friend that she was talking to, and they were testing out the webcam and all that stuff for the first time and doing their first ever kind of video chat style stuff. And then all of a sudden they notice an icon appears on their screen, on their computer screen, of this game called Deadware. And they're like, what the hell? Let's check this out. And they check it out, and it's like this kind of video game, kind of actual found footage type scenario. And yeah, they're basically forced to continue going through this game, and things get more and more fucked up, and they start uncovering secrets about someone else they know being playing this game and whatnot. And I found it like it's nothing. It didn't break the mold. It's nothing like
No.
nothing crazy, but I found this to be fairly entertaining. Like for like a low budget low budget 2-person found footage film. I found it to be, pretty entertaining. And I figure if you're a fan of anything found footage, I'd say it's worth a watch. It's on Tubi. It's free. Just got to deal with commercials.
Yeah,
I found it fine enough.
and I think my compliment to the actors should be I actually felt like I was watching two friends.
Yes.
Like I did. I actually felt like I was just watching like Scott and I shooting the shit over Zoom.
Yeah.
And then having this game to play with. And, I'll give the actors credit for that. Like, I think what they were trying to present was present well enough. And yet again, it's Tubi films. Like, I compared to The Institute and Hunting Souls, this was a fucking Academy Award winning film. So that tells you how bad those two were. I thought it was entertaining enough. I watched it at the gym while I was working out. I usually do like an hour on the treadmill and then I do weights and stuff. And, it was easy to kind of plop down my phone in front of me while I was doing some arm curls and like watch this film. It was easy to, follow along what was happening. And it's not long. It's only 68 minutes long in length. Like,
yeah,
I'll give them credit. They didn't overstay it. It's like similar to the movie that was out last year, Host, that was only 60 minutes. It's smart. Like they know what they are and they're keeping it to a relatively short length. And I respect that. Do I think it's a majorly amazing movie? Of course not. But I think for a Tubi original, it's not bad. And I think Tubi's been giving us some decent enough, entertaining enough films to watch. And we will definitely have a Tubi award this year. More than I think we will have. I think we may have to retire. What was the other company that we... Oh my gosh, why can't we remember it now? See, tells you how long it's been since they put out a movie. Uncorked movie. I don't think I've seen anything Uncorked this year.
No, neither have I.
Right? So we may not have an Uncorked award this year unless they start releasing something. We'll have to go to their website and see what an Uncorked films are that are coming out. But yeah, I would say if you got Tubi or Amazon Prime, it's on as well, and you feel like watching like video game horror, it's fun. Go in with low expectations, probably have a good time. It's free.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's pretty much how I'm at. Like, it's easy watch. Like you said, 68 minutes. You're not going to lose a lot of time to it. I know Lance Langford from the Horror Returns. I told him, I'm like, because he was asking for suggestions, because he always comes to us for suggestions. And
you suggested this to him?
Well, because he was asking him, he's like,
well, now Lance isn't going to listen to our show anymore.
But he's like, is there anything new that I haven't seen yet, or anything recent you guys watched that you would recommend? And I'm going, well, I kind of mildly recommend this. I was like, I just watched it. It's fine. It's nothing blow your mind. But yeah, he hated it. But Lance also has different tastes than I most of the time.
What Lance also hates? The escape room. And who hates the escape room?
That's true. Lance.
Angry Texans hate the escape
Angry Texans.
You know what though? Him and I are on the same page with the Pet Sematary remake.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I liked it. I know. Like, don't worry, Lance. We don't care what other people say. It's me and Lance against the world. That's what it is. Lance Lanford from the Horror Returns podcast. Please check them out if you haven't. Himself, Brian, and Phil, and I don't know, whoever else they have on there randomly sometimes, is an exceptional show. So please check them out. So yeah, let's get into our older watches. So Scott and I have watched some older watches. Scott went on his found footage binge and recommended to me Capture Kill Release 2016. And when I first saw the cover, I was like, fuck, Scott, of course.
I know, because the cover art really does not sell what this movie is.
Like, why, Scott? You already made me watch Father's Day.
You loved it, and you know it.
I did. I actually really liked Father's Day. I gave it a 10 out of 10. Spoiler, I thought it was a great fucking film. I just pretend like I don't like films to get like, drama. But yeah, this one was fucking amazing. Like, and here's the thing. It was fucking amazing for a found footage film. That's what it was fucking amazing for. I bought into the two characters. I bought into the reason why they were filming. I bought into the special effects. I bought into how they use their money in this found footage. I bought into the ending. It's a fucking ride. This was a surprise for me, just like Landmine Goes Click. Two movies that have come out, and maybe we should do, like, at the end of this year, we shout out older watches. If we had some older watches this year that just totally, like, we were like, didn't fucking see that coming. So
I am down for that, actually. That sounds like a good idea, because I was thinking about that before with our end of the year lists, like, just because we do watch a lot of first time watches.
Yeah, we do watch, like, I'm up to, when it comes to watches for first time watches, not 2022's 58 films.
Wow, I'm at 21.
And for 2022 horror films, I'm at 53.
And I am at 41, I think.
I have a feeling I will definitely break over 100 this year. I may make it to 150 films, but I don't think I'll be pushing the 200s anymore.
No.
Also because of just how my work schedule's changed as well. I will eventually be going back into the office 1 or 2 days a week or 1 or 2 days a month. They haven't quite decided yet how that's going to look. And to be honest, there's been some 2022s that I've looked at that I'm like, I just can't do this. Like, I just know that it's not going to be a film that I'm going to enjoy. But I think 53 is not bad to be at for this point. I've seen enough stuff that a lot of other people haven't seen, and I always enjoy that.
Get your
not
horror
as much
cred.
as Mark, not as much as Mark Nato, but like it's up there. And but in terms of first time watches, I always enjoy my first time watches that are from other years, and I feel like I really have kind of started to like educate myself a little bit more. But anyway, this film is great. It's available on Tubi, United States and in Canada, and it is fucking dark. So just go into this knowing it's a very, very dark found footage. It's basically about a couple that fantasizes about killing someone, and when it actually comes time to, things do not go as planned. And we'll just leave it at that because I think it's a movie to be watched. It will take you about 2 hours to watch it with commercials on Tubi, but totally worth your time.
Yeah, because this is one that was on my list that I think it was the Dread Central list that had suggested this. If I remember to, when this episode comes out, I will see if I can find that list and put it up on our page too. Because
Nice.
it's got some very interesting found footage films on there. And yeah, Capture Kill Release, I watched it. I was so invested in the story. Like, I believed the characters, like the boyfriend and girlfriend they weren't husband and wife, I don't think, but yeah, I think they were just boyfriend and girlfriend.
I wasn't sure. It doesn't matter. They're in a committed relationship. They have a house together.
Yeah.
Like, they're committed. Yeah.
And like you're involved because like you're like, man, these people are idiots. What the hell are they doing? Why would they do this? These people are sick. And then like things change and you're going, oh, I really hate this one person now. Like, they make it so you do not like the certain character. And man, there are some scenes in this that when something happens, like, it just fucking broke my heart, and I felt like just disgusted by the person that did it, because I'm just like, how could you do that? Oh my God. And
yeah, man.
Like it, and once again, this is another low budget film that used its effects wisely and used them where they needed to use them. And some of these scenes looked extremely realistic to the point where it was like making me a little uneasy. Like, when I got finished with this movie, I just messaged Heather and Brandon. I'm going, holy fucking shit, this movie's incredible. And I was like, Heather, watch this. I know Brandon's already seen it, but holy shit, watch this. This is an awesome movie. Like, it's fucked up, but it's awesome.
Yeah, great suggestion, Scotty. And I recommend it. Found footage wise, I think it's an excellent example of how you can make a really strong found footage film.
Yeah. And speaking of another one that's recommended like for found footage film, I'll talk about the one that I brought to the table today, and that's called Butterfly Kisses from 2018. Also from that list that I had found for Tubi found footage films. And it's basically a mockumentary style found footage where it is this movie director finds these old VHS tapes in his house. Like, they're just kind of stored underneath these floorboards. And when he was doing some remodeling, came across them, and he started watching them and realized it was a recordings of these two college students who were trying to do like their first time film for college, and they were trying to do like a documentary based upon this I forget what the creature's name was, but it's like basically a mythological creature that you have to stare without blinking in this certain tunnel for, I think it was like 15 minutes straight. So try to imagine how fucking hard that is to do. And if you do, this creature will appear and show up, and from then on out, will follow you wherever you go. And every time you blink and open your eyes, he's moving closer and closer.
Sounds like the vodka I had last weekend.
And wow.
Anyway, continues.
But yeah, the reason it's called Butterfly Kisses is because like every time you blink, he's getting closer, closer, and closer till he is like right in your face. And like, the butterfly kisses where you're closing your eyes and your eyelashes touch or whatever. That's what it's basically based off of. And this creature kind of looks like a different version of Slender Man. But they end up finding out that when they decided to set up a camera, because they're going, well, we obviously can't stare without blinking for 15 minutes. Like, we cannot do it. We've tried it. how about we set up a camera? Because the camera lens is kind of like an unblinking eye. Let's see what happens. And then, yeah, then it's like the found footage showing of what's happening with that camera and what happens to the people that are involved with it. And this director who found these tapes decides he wants to make a documentary about these students who did this documentary. And he's trying to put it out for sale and no one's believing him, thinking he's just made this all up and it's a hoax and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I found it very fascinating, very intriguing. Kind of gave me Lake Mungo vibes with a bit of it because there was a lot of interviews of like with professionals and trying to like discredit the director and all that. I recommend this one. I found it, yeah, just very fascinating, kind of creepy, and a unique take on a mythological creature. So yeah, this is Butterfly Kisses from 2018. Highly recommend. And I am going to pull up my list. I'm going to name off a few. I won't talk about them, but I'm going to just name off a few that I also recommend that are on Tubi. Let me get my list here. I also recommend Cronewood, Hollow, and Savage Land. Savage Land, that one apparently is our good friend Dave Z's one of his all-time favorite found footage films. And you know Dave Z, he watches everything found footage.
Well, and Dave Z actually like has taste.
Yeah.
Like you and I watch everything.
But yeah, if I'm gonna recommend anything, I would definitely recommend Butterfly Kisses and Savage Lands. Those two are just absolutely incredible and unique. And Hollow is a fun one. But I've watched a bunch now, and I'm finding there's more and more found footage that I'm enjoying. Like found footage is starting to become one of my favorite subgenres now.
I like found footage films a lot. I think they're really cool. I find them easy to watch too.
Yeah.
Like I find them easy to sit through and easy to digest. Like I do enjoy the, Ummas of the world and let's see what else has been really heavy that came out this year. Cursed.
Oh yeah.
But you can't walk away from movie Cursed. Like if you walk out of the theater during Cursed and you come back, you're like, you could miss an important plot development. Like to be honest, found footage you can miss, like you don't want to leave either, but it's easier to watch and you can sometimes just hear what's going on. Right. And it provides, the creepiness factor of it. So I'll definitely check those out, Scott. Thanks for your suggestions.
Yep, those are all on Tubi. So free, easy to watch.
And we all like free.
And we all like easy. Yeah.
On Friday Nightmares. That's what we dig.
The motto for us.
What's new, I'll go first because my shit is not nearly as exciting as Scott's. I watched a Netflix series that I've seen on Netflix for years, and it's called Don't Fuck with Cats. And I never watched it because I was like, oh, it looks dumb. I had no idea it was about the famous Canadian killer, Luke Minada. And I know who he is. I know very well who he is. He is a very well-known murderer that lived in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and then murdered an exchange student out in Montreal from McGill University in cold blood, dismembered him and shipped off body parts to not only the Prime Minister, but the leader of the Liberal Party, who is now our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. As well. Yeah, this guy was a real piece of shit. So anyway, prior to him committing that vicious murder, he had posted videos of him torturing cats and killing them. And a group of internet sleuths stalked him down and found out who he was and actually alerted the Toronto police and were involved with the Montreal police in helping bring him to justice.
Oh, wow.
And it's about a 4-episode limited series. I did watch it in one day. It's easy to watch. It's about 4 hours long. And it's very, very fascinating. I knew who he was. I knew what he had done. And automatically the moment someone, and of course, like his mom's in it, and it's very Canadian. Like we're talking, it's all over Southern Ontario. It's getting to the real specifics about sub-communities of Southern Ontario. Like I will give these handful of Americans a lot of credit because they helped bring down this piece of shit. So
that's awesome.
Props to them for doing that and knowing enough about Canada to figure out that he was in Canada, and knowing enough to figure out shit about Etobicoke, Toronto, Montreal, and having the guts to reach out to the police and do something and keep records. And these were used in the trial, the information that was kept by these people. So, it's a really, really good series. If for some reason you've skipped over it, I recommend watching it. Of course, it's horror adjacent because it talks about a real life killer. And I think it's important to see what can be done in the world of online chat groups and the world of Facebook groups. This was a Facebook group that made a difference. And this was a Facebook group that helped bring somebody to justice. It is so unfortunate that he hurt, I think it's Jin Lee. And it's a tragedy that he was murdered, but thank God he wasn't able to murder anybody else.
Right.
Because he would have done it again. Like,
Yeah.
there was no doubt that he would have done it again. He escalated from murdering animals to murdering a person. And it's a very fascinating documentary. It's a very hard-hitting documentary, but I do recommend it, and it's available on Netflix. So that is my boring thing that I did. Scotty now is going to bring in the cool shit he did, because it's way more interesting than me watching a Netflix documentary.
Well, I want to mention, like, don't fuck with cats. This is one that I've avoided because people know my love for cats, and they're going, dude, this is rough. For if you are a cat lover, this is a rough one. Like, we don't know if you should watch it or not, but I am intrigued, so I may try to watch it at some point, because this sounds
Here's my advice to you. Do what I did. Look away. If you're watching it with headphones, take out the headphones when the cats are being tortured.
Okay.
That's what I did. And I knew it happened, and they don't show tons of it. They just show the lead up to it. I just preferred not to know.
Right.
But you can skip over those pieces and still enjoy the documentary.
Okay, cool.
Well, and enjoy is a loose word, right?
But at least sit through it.
Yes, that is probably a better statement.
All right, so yeah, I will definitely have to check that out, because I did not realize exactly what it was about. All I knew was the torture of cats was involved. I'm going, okay, I'm good. But
yeah.
But I knew there had to be more to it, because obviously it's Netflix, and Netflix isn't just going to put out animal torture videos. So I knew there had to be more. But yeah, I'll check that out. But yeah, so what I brought to what's new today is definitely something a little more unique that we have not talked about in a while, and that is Astronomicon 5. I went to the 5th year of Astronomicon, which is a horror, wrestling, pop culture convention. Heather and I went to this back in 2020, February 2020.
Back in the day.
Yes. Back then, it was in Novi in Michigan at, I think it was the Sheridan Hotel or something like that. But it was, they were only on their 3rd year, and this place was packed. We were packed in sardines at that time. And we were talking about they really need to get a bigger venue, because this is way too many people in such a small area, trying to funnel through. We could barely even walk. It was insane. So eventually, I think it was last year, they found a new venue, because I think they did not expect their convention to get as big as it did. They found a place out in Livonia, Michigan at the Burton Manor. And so, I went this year with Mandy. We got our tickets in advance, got some photo op tickets in advance. I met up with her around 9:30, left around, I'd say about 10 o'clock. It's supposed to only take an hour, but because of freaking GPS getting confused due to construction.
GPS got confused.
Well,
yes.
I will say it is the GPS's fault, because it showed me where I was going. It never told me to turn off the expressway. So I kept driving. It just never said anything. And you could hear it say, make that weird sound when it's trying to reroute. And so I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So I look down, and I'm driving right past every exit on the expressway, because it's in the 1-lane construction zone, and GPS is not saying a damn thing. So I'm going, fuck, all right, I'm going to try this exit and see what happens. Take the exit, and it starts working again. Going, okay, turn left here. Next thing you know, I'm a half hour past the damn convention. So we had to backtrack and come all the way back down these really shitty roads that were just because it's Michigan roads and no one fucking take care of them. Finally get there. I think we got there at about 12:15. Get in line, go smoothly, because obviously we bought our tickets in advance. But walked in. This place was massive,
nice.
So much fucking space, and the crowd there was an insane amount of people there. They are just getting bigger and bigger each year. So many awesome cosplay outfits. Due to it being wrestling, horror, and pop culture, it's kind of a weird combination. But the reason is because the band Twisted hosts it. And Twisted is all about wrestling and horror, and have made friends in a lot of the pop culture areas. So they have a lot of pull and get a lot of cool people. The celebrity guest lineup this year was really freaking awesome. Mandy got super excited because Kevin Nash, X-Pac, the Steiner brothers, Papa Shango, the Godfather, all of them were there. Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, was supposed to be there, but ended up having to cancel due to hip surgery. And then we all know what happened there. He ended up passing away.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was all those wrestlers, and then Danhausen from AEW was there, and of course, I fucking geeked out when I heard that. But then for the other celebrities, the big pull was Corey Taylor from Slipknot, Stone Sour, etc., and like the In Search of Darkness documentary. He's been in a couple horror movies now too. That was their big pull, and it was a wise move because holy shit, did that bring the fucking crowd in. But they had Nick Castle from Halloween playing the original Michael Myers. They had Danielle Harris. They had Scout Taylor Compton. They had Tyler Main. They had Peter Dante from the Adam Sandler movies. Peter Stahansky from the Super Trooper film. Bill Moseley. And of course, my bucket list celebrity that I had to freaking meet, Zach Galligan from Gremlins. So yeah, when we got in, first thing we did is we just kind of did our first quick round because we had a photo op with Kevin Nash at 1:45 and it was 12:45. So we're like, all right, we probably won't be able to get through the whole convention before we have to go get our photo op. So let's just kind of do a quick walkthrough. Realized Kevin Nash's line was starting to get long to meet him in person and get a selfie and everything. So we're like, fuck, let's jump in right now because I have a feeling this line's gonna get longer. So we're just chilling there, Mandy and I just hanging out, and I look over, there's fucking Zach Galligan, not even like 10 feet away from me at his table. One person in line. I looked over Mandy, I'm going, I'll be right back. I fucking jumped out of line, ran right over to him, and did exactly what I had a bad feeling I would do and go, I like you in Gremlins. Duh. I don't know what to say. I was like, Gremlins is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I've like, this has been my goal to meet you. And Zach Galligan looks at me and goes, dude, you need to have better goals. But yeah,
that Gallivan's all of a sudden just became my hero. Did you tell him you liked him in Bad Candy and Waxwork as well?
No, I like I said,
Scott.
Like my brain went dumb. I fanned out and then just went, don't know what to say now. Like I had all these things I was going to talk about to him, and then just all gone. But like I got a selfie with him, got an 8x10 signed by him, and I had a photo op that I bought with him that I was going to do later in the day. You can see in my picture, like I am just ecstatic. Like it's hard to tell because when I smile, I don't show my teeth or anything like that. So it's hard to tell, but you can tell by my eyes, I am like just happy as hell. Like this, holy shit, this is happening. And yeah, super nice guy. It's a shame though, because every time we walked by his table, there was like maybe 4 people in line for him, 3 people here and there. Like there was just not many people there to see him, which of course I'm going to chalk up to he's not been in a lot of films, like at least a lot of big, well-known films besides Gremlins.
Well, Waxwork.
But I wouldn't say it's a big, well-known one though.
Oh, okay.
Like because Gremlins,
I guess
is
for
known,
horror.
Yeah, horror fans will know it.
Yeah.
But like the mainstream like wrestler fans and stuff like that, they probably don't know him from that. They know him from Gremlins, and our generation, like that movie was 84 and then 90, and yeah, like so not many people may have seen it or really cared. So it's just kind of sad to see that. But then I get back in line with Mandy, and she's just about to go up see Kevin Nash. Holy goddamn hell, that dude is a fucking giant, almost 7 feet tall, and his head was like twice the size of Mandy's. It was crazy. Like I'm just looking at him going,
did she say, hey Diesel?
I can't remember exactly what she said. She was trying to talk to him, but he was very quiet. Like he wasn't rude, but he was like very quiet and just kind of getting through everything because like he had a line, so he's probably just trying to get the selfie, get the 8x10, try to get the line moving. But then after that, like she was like so happy to meet him though. Like, but then after that, walked down the aisle a bit, ran into Dan House's table, and holy shit, probably the nicest celebrity I have ever met. Funny as hell, super friendly, like just very talkative, and like was happy to like just like Zach Galligan, just happy to talk to you about everything, and like just super friendly, and showed that he actually appreciated like people coming in and seeing him. And of course, got a picture of him and I cursing the camera. And
I loved it. That was great.
But yeah, he's super awesome, dude. I also got an 8x10 for my good buddy Adam Thomas because he couldn't make it, and he really loves Danhausen. But yeah, if anybody ever gets a chance to meet Danhausen, fucking excellent guy. Just super down to earth and funny and friendly. Like he was even doing when I was in line, there was someone in front of me that was actually like holding up a cell phone and doing a video, and he was in full character in the video, like getting right in the camera's face and just like doing it as a favor. Just thought it was just for the person because the person asked, and like so it was just full in character. It was really cool to see. Then we went and got our photo op with Kevin Nash, and Yeah, that's when I realized how much of a giant he was, because I'm standing next to him, and I just look up, I'm like, hi, holy shit, you're huge. Like, I had to like crane my neck all the way back to even look at him. But yeah, like, but then what do we end up doing? Oh, we ended up taking a break because we bought a bunch of stuff and wanted to take it out to the car and just kind of relax for a bit. Came back
Yeah.
in, and we went over to X-Pac's table, and she got to meet X-Pac, and he was much more interactive because obviously his line was not as big as Kevin Nash's, but he was a lot more like talkative and interactive, and was doing different poses with Mandy, doing the
Yeah,
wolf
he's always
thing.
been a more outgoing. Like, I think if you watch wrestling over the years, Razor Ramon and X-Pac were always the more outgoing. And it's funny because they were in D-Generation X as well.
Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting that she wore an NWO shirt, because they would have got people from D-Generation X. His time as Diesel. X-Pac's time is just being X-Pac and teaming with Kane, which was actually one of my favorite tag teams that ever happened. Was when
nice.
X-Pac was with Kane. Like, those wrestlers have had a long history,
Right.
and a lot of different characters. So it's cool and it's a shame, rest in peace, Scott Hall, that he couldn't have been there for the trio, because I'm sure people would have loved to get the trio, right?
Yeah, and they did a really cool thing. Because I'm in a Facebook group for Astronomicon, and fans were posting all their stuff there. Apparently, they were doing a duo photo op with X-Pac and Kevin Nash, and they were doing it with a giant memorial of Scott Hall right next to him. And so I thought that was nice, like a way to get a cool photo op, like kind of memory with Scott Hall. And but yeah, super friendly guy, and just. Yeah, like you could tell Mandy was just ecstatic. Like you could see it in her eyes, their smile and everything. I unfortunately I knew Kevin Nash, didn't know nothing about X-Pac because that was around the time of wrestling where I had no way of watching it. So I missed like a generation of wrestling, like with the D-Generation X and all that stuff. So I didn't really know him. So I'm hoping I can go back and watch some stuff because he was a really cool dude.
He was a really good he was doing a lot of the acrobatic stuff that we see Ricochet do in WWE, that we've seen the Hardys do, particularly Jeff Hardy, and the most recent one, Dante, fucking AEW Dante. That kid's going places. He is fucking incredible. X-Pac was doing a lot of that stuff because he was a small dude, small in stature, small in weight. Yeah, it would have been very interesting. I would have wanted to talk to him about his early career. I probably would have stayed away from NWO because I don't think he did that much in NWO. I would want to talk to him when he came in and when he tagged with Kane. Honestly, is probably what my favorite times of him was. But no offense, I'm a really hardcore wrestling fan, and I've been dedicated for years watching it, right? Unless you were really, really into it, you would have seen it.
Yeah, then we ended up, I think that was pretty much all the celebrity stuff. And then, we went and watched a bunch of really cool stuff. I posted a bunch of pictures on my page. I'll share to our podcast when I release the episode.
You got some really good shit, too. You got picked up some great finds.
Yeah, one of the cool things I'm wearing right now, and that is this really awesome Evil Dead shirt that Mandy got for me.
Yeah, it's nice. Really good artwork.
Yeah, what sold me on it, though, I can't do it because it's hard to turn around, but on the back of it, there's even stuff, and it is in that ghostly writing that the Evil Dead movie has, and it just says, "Join us. Join us, join us." And
nice. It's like us with the Johnny Friday Nightmares. That's exactly how we are, right? Nice.
Yeah, so it's a really awesome shirt. But yeah, ton of Gremlins memorabilia that I bought. Finally got a vinyl poster of Gremlins 1 and Gremlins 2. So now I actually have real posters of both the movies, which makes me happy. And yeah, then we did the photo op with Zach Galligan at 6:45. So this was a long freaking day. Because we had to stay
you guys invested. Yeah.
But this is where Scott went to heaven. And it was a photo op with Zach Galligan, where I'm sitting here going, originally I'm going, I'm not going to invest in a photo op. It's just, us standing around, blah, 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 whatever. I'll just get a selfie. Then they announced that, no, for Zach Galligan, they were recreating the theater scene from Gremlins 1 with you sit next to him in theater seats and there being gremlins all around you and having a backdrop of the movie theater with all the gremlins. I'm going, fuck, that is awesome. Okay,
that is pretty cool.
I got to do it. And yeah, that was such an awesome picture because they have this big screen backdrop with all the gremlins in the theater. And then they have 4 regular seats and you sit next to Zach Galligan. He has Gizmo in his lap. And there's other the replicas of the gremlins next to each of us. So Mandy held one and I held one. And then there was another one on each side of us. And yeah, the photo looks freaking awesome. I can't wait to frame that and hang that up somewhere because holy shit, that was an amazing experience. And I'm glad I bought the photo op for that one because that was incredible. incredible. And yeah, this convention in general was just awesome. So much fun. And well, I will also share this picture because, Smoke Show Crawford, he's become so popular that he has now become a Funko Pop finally.
It's true. It's true. And even then, you'll still be like, you'll have a Funko Pop, you'll have the memes, you have the nickname. I get told by one person I'm their favorite podcaster, and Scott loses his diva mind because no one said that to him. He gets everything else, but because one person says that I'm their favorite podcaster, he's devastated.
I mean, and to be fair, it's not really a Funko Pop that I got turned into, but it is a giant Funko Pop box.
Oh no, we're gonna sell them on Friday Nightmares page. Scott's already put in his first order for 15 just for himself to put around his house.
Because who's the Scott Crawford? Who's the Scott Crawford?
Yeah. Oh my God. How the name Scott Crawford has become associated with a raging heart on is probably the funniest thing about this podcast.
I love it.
What we will have to walk away from is like, not like my name's associated with wet pussies. Like your name is associated with a raging heart on. And I just think that's amazing. I'm so glad incredible. You guys had a good time. It sounds like it was a great event, well attended, lots of people, what we want to see. And, good news moving forward for the horror genre and for wrestling and everyone coming together and getting to enjoy stuff like this again. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, and very awesome people that run the place. Twisted was very interactive with all their fans and even did a live show afterwards after it was all said and done. And then I found out not only did they host a concert after the convention, in the same place, but they also had if you were a Saturday pass holder or a VIP weekend pass holder, you could go into a theater room in this manner and watch Amityville Horror 2, The Possession with Twisted.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was that's cool. Awesome. They are all about their fans and they love their fans and
just like us at Friday Nightmares. We're all
all about our fans.
We also love them, and we would also go into a movie theater. I don't know if you guys want to be with us, but we could be in there with you.
Yeah.
I don't know what we would watch. Probably.
I'd be naked.
Probably. Yeah.
Naked, running up and down the aisles. Whee!
And I'd be drunk, passed out with my cell phone after drinking too many double vodkas.
Or actually, I'd be naked in the back corner going, "Who's a Scott Crawford? Who's got a Scott Crawford?"
So awesome time, Scotty. We look forward to seeing your pictures of the convention and you sharing all your goods that you got. I'm glad you guys had such a great time.
It was a blast.
We'll take a brief break and then we're going to come back to talk about 4 British horror films that we watched. 2 are first time watches for us, I believe. Yes. And then 2 are watches we've seen before. We are keeping this section shorter moving forward, and we may eventually rechange the format of our show once we get through the international stuff. But for now, we will keep it and we will do our 4 British films. And then we're going to talk a little bit about werewolves and what we think of the werewolf genre and what we like and what we don't like. So after these messages, we'll be right back.
Are you sick of the same old stale podcasts? Well, then join Vanessa and Darren as they dissect movies of all kinds. The 2 lifelong cinema lovers bring their favorites, curiosities, and first-time watches to the operating table and inject them with a healthy dose of snark. Then there's the waiting room, where they examine books and short stories. So just look for them on Apple Podcasts and where fine podcasts are available. They're part of the Legion Podcast Network. Follow them on Twitter at VDClinicPod. Join them on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/VDClinicPod. Or email them at vdclinicpod@gmail.com. They're ready to cure what ails you. And still, they just might be a little contagious.
And welcome back. Today we are going to be finishing off our UK horror little adventure here with talking about a couple of British horror films. 2 are very popular. And I would say the other 2, I wouldn't say they're unpopular. I just don't know if people are as familiar with them as the two popular ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe people will correct us in the comments. But let's dive into the first one.
All right. So the first film we are going to talk about is The Night of the Demon, released November 9th, 1957. American professor John Holden arrives in London for a conference on parapsychology, only to discover that the colleague he was supposed to meet was killed in a freak accident the day before. It turns out that the deceased had been investigating a cult led by Dr. Julian Carswell. Though a skeptic, Holden is suspicious of the devil worshipping Carswell. Following a trail of mysterious manuscripts, Holden enters a world that makes him question his faith in science. So,
yeah,
wow, this was especially for its time, this was a very intriguing film that dived into like the cult stuff. And I think this is like the oldest cult film that I have seen so far. Like, I don't know if there's any before this or not, but
oh, I'm sure there is. We just haven't been exposed to them. But I think that this one here, I really enjoyed the interaction between the main character, John, and Julian. And I did also really like, and it's a shame because I feel like there was a lot of sexism in this movie with the young lady that's in it. I'm trying to see if I can look up her name, Joanna, whose uncle was the colleague that was killed, and she's come to basically investigate her uncle's death, and she feels that it was mysterious. And she kind of is the one that puts everything together, to be honest with you. She's the one that does all the footwork. And then John's like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. There does seem to be a connection here.
But yet I am the hero of this movie. We'll have you as a side character.
Right, even though she did literally, which sounds like most male-female heterosexual relationships. So, I just thought it was really, really interesting how that was portrayed. But I did, my favorite part of this film that really stands out to me, because it's very dialogue heavy. And that's the thing with films from the 50s. They're very dialogue heavy. There's a lot of, I find this back and forth clever conversation happens in a lot of British films. I saw in Hounds of the Baskerville, and I see it here. It's like back, forth. A lot of the dialogue is building the plot line, where in some other movies, it's the sceneries, the places that they're going that's moving the plot line along. In 50 films, it's the conversation that's moving the plot line along. But the scene that really stands out to me in this film is where they're doing the seance, and John thinks it's complete fucking horseshit. And he's like, I love his attitude throughout it. And Joanna's kind of buying into it because the person that's doing the seance is becoming possessed by her uncle. And John's like, get this garbage fucking out of here. I did enjoy that scene. I thought it was really clever and well done. And I did enjoy the climax of this film. I did think that it was very clever, the confrontation between Dr. Julian and the American Professor John on the train. Yeah. I did think that dialogue was really, really clever. And then what happens to Julian is, very much, he gets his comeuppance, I guess you could say.
And a very cool little final scene too. I like that scene.
Yeah, the special effects was actually pretty good, but this is very much a dialogue heavy film.
Yeah.
It is talk, 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 thing happen, talk, 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 thing happen, talk, 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 try to hit on chick, talk, 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 seance, talk, 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 train. Like, to me, those were the scenes that stood out in my head. Everything else was just conversation.
Yeah, but I feel the same way. Like, going into this, I had seen images of like the demon from the title.
Have you?
Yeah, like I've seen it, like whether it was reading a horror article or something, but I've seen images of this thing before, and it has a very Japanese style look to it. Like what do you call those? An onibaba, I believe, is what they're considered. So it has kind of like that samurai mask look to intimidate their opponents. That's what this demon reminded me a lot of. And I have to say, I love the look of this thing. For 57, the effects are awesome. I love the smoke effects that come before he shows up, where you just see like the smoke just kind of entering the room and then just kind of forming this giant circle. And then the demon kind of appears out of that. I love how they pulled that off. I'm very curious to see how they did it. And then, I didn't expect there to be more of this demon, but you literally only get it for like a couple, like a maybe 30 seconds in the beginning and about 15 seconds at the end. I agree with you. Like, I wanted to see a little more of it, but obviously budget wise, I can understand being in the 50s. But yeah, this was very dialogue heavy, but I found it to be also just very fascinating and unique for something from this time that I have not seen, at least. And yeah, like I'm glad we ended up choosing this one because it was very entertaining to watch. I'm glad we finally watched it because I've been curious about this one for a long time. I know a lot of people seem to love it. Like on Letterboxd, it's gotten 4.5 stars out of 5 through almost all the people I follow. So I was like, okay, this has got to be pretty good. And yeah, it takes a look into the occult, what is going on there. Like Joanna's going, like actually like going through Carswell's books and like trying to discover like stuff about the occult and trying to figure everything out. And like you said, kind of passes off the information over to John, and he just kind of takes it and goes with it. So yeah, she's basically just like Heather in the podcast. She does all the footwork, and I take all the credit.
No, I definitely wouldn't say that's the case here, but
No.
I really felt like this was like such a fucking like, she really is the one, like, and she's basically a Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
Like she was playing the Nancy Drew role. I do enjoy how they kind of presented the concept of the devil worshiping and the cult and the purpose behind it. I did think it was presented well. Where I will say British movies differ from North American films is I do think the plot lines are deeper and less over the top, like sensational.
Yes.
Like we didn't have an unnecessary sexual, like the young lady was very pretty that was in this film, but she wasn't overly sexualized in this movie,
right,
at all. She was more seen as intelligent and beautiful, which I really did appreciate for 1957. And I do think if this was an American film, it would almost be, I don't want to say dumbed down, but I don't think the dialogue would have been as heavy and as complex. I feel like with a British film, it's a little bit more complicated and a little bit more deeper in storytelling wise.
Yeah, I think American film would have relied more on effects and more of the demon, where this didn't need it. Like it just relied on the conversations and the investigations into it.
Yes. And you know, and that's fine. Like I think this movie for a 1957 cult film is interesting. If you're a cult film completist, I think you should watch this film.
Yep, agreed.
If you're not, I don't know if this is a 1957 movie that you really need to jump onto, but I think if you like cult films, this is, and you want to see, you know, the like some of the original films and the way that Britain presents it, I think it's definitely worth your time.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like this is a very fascinating film that, yeah, like doesn't get a lot of attention. But yeah. Speaking of films that definitely get a lot of attention.
Oh, man. Yeah.
All right. So we are talking about An American Werewolf in London. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. You know,
just a low budget, not well-known film at all.
No, not at all. Released August 21st, 1981. David and Jack, two American college students who are backpacking through Britain when a large wolf attacks them. David survives with a bite, but Jack is brutally killed. As David heals in the hospital, he's plagued by violent nightmares of his mutilated friend who warns David that he is becoming a werewolf. When David discovers the horrible truth, he contemplates committing suicide before the next full moon causes him to transform from man to murderous beast. This is obviously like this one's been talked about a million times. Everyone has seen this film, but you know, there is a reason why. That is because this film is very well done with its characters, with its special effects, a different take on werewolves. And it has this one thing I have to bring up is I love the soundtrack and how every song relates to the moon.
Yes.
And it's done so well. Like this is like you feel for David and like everything he is going through because he is such a just nice guy and just like and he's stuck in another country healing from his wounds, doesn't know anybody, his best friend has been killed, and then all of a sudden starts dealing with these nightmares with his best friend who, once again, practical effects in this fucking incredible. His best friend is looking more and more decayed as time goes on, and like the effects there are just amazing. And obviously we have to talk about it, but like the werewolf transformation, still to this day, one of the best werewolf transformations. And this came out in 1981. And I think this was all done by Rick Baker, and he makes sure you see every bit of the transformation, from the elongating of the hands to the hair coming out of David's skin to like his chest kind of caving in a bit and to his face contorting and the snout slowly growing out. It's incredible, and it looks so painful when he's transforming.
I agree.
And you know, not even the like, you know, effects and all. This has very good dialogue and very funny dialogue as well.
I
Like,
agree with you. Yeah.
it does that balance of horror and comedy perfectly. Like
This movie, Scott, now that we've watched so many UK films, can you not tell that this was made by an American director, American writer, but put in Britain?
yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it is not dialogue heavy. It's not. The dialogue is very, I don't want to say basic, but it's meant just to move the plot around. Like, you got the two American kids joking as they walk to the tavern, the very stereotypical British people in the tavern, in the British small town that it is, the countryside. And London, you get a little bit of the culture. Like, where you get the biggest British culture thing is when David acts like a complete asshole outside of Buckingham Palace, and he's trying to get arrested by that constable, being like your typical. And I feel like John Landis included him there to be that typical asshole American tourist.
Yes.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, he was trying to be like, fuck the Queen, fuck Winston Churchill, fuck Diana, the family's incest. Like, it was the shit he was yelling. The constable's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, why are you behaving like this, you fucker? And I think that whole interaction there was written by an American making fun of Americans.
Yes.
Like 110%. This movie, as much as we put it as a British horror film, it's really not.
No.
It's an American movie filmed in Britain. And I've learned that now. And I think, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I'm not criticizing the film. Everything you said is true. It's well acted. It's well written. The music, the effects, it's incredible. But I'm not going to go down that road for this right now and talk about it, because A, I think you did a great job of doing it, and B, it's been done a million times before.
Right.
But what I think really stands out to me is the difference between an actual British film and a film being made in Britain by foreigners. And
Yes.
that is the difference. And it really stands out in this film now for me.
Yeah, I was like, because it's a very valid point, because like even the dialogue is all very American like even though there's not a lot of it, it's very American based.
Very much so.
But yeah, like this is a movie that goes from, they want you to get from A to B to C to D to get to the very end of the movie. It's like there's certain things that happen moving forward. There's not a lot of dialogue. There's just incidents and things that happen.
Right.
And yeah, like it's but yeah, well done movie. We don't have to focus on this much because like we just wanted to bring this one up because obviously great movie, always fun to watch. And is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Well, I think honestly, Scott, you did a great job of talking about the incredible effects of this film and the music and how it plays in. And I do think they did what I think this movie does well is it does a great job of showcasing England. I think compared to the other films that we brought to the table here, but I think that also has to do with a foreigner coming to England and being like, oh my God, this is so beautiful.
Right.
Like when they're walking over that countryside, I will be out in that area. Now, I am not going to be in that kind of, environment where I think it's going to be like I'm going over dirt roads and stuff. I may be in Ireland because I am taking a trip to a sheep farm and a castle. So I could be in that kind of area in Ireland when I'm there.
Right.
But I think it highlighted the small pub very, very well. I think it highlighted London from the 80s very, very well. And I think to me, that's what this film did. And that's the benefit of a foreigner being there, because when you live in a place, it's all the same to you. Like when I took you to Niagara Falls, you were of course impressed by it. It was your first time seeing it.
Yeah.
It was my 18th, 20 billionth time going to fucking Niagara Falls.
Right.
And, by this point, it's kind of worn off the excitement. There's no real excitement. I'm like, yep, there's the falls. There it is. It's great. Love it. Woohoo. Look at it go. But I don't really give a fuck.
Right.
I am sure when I'm going to be walking around England with Mark, who's going to be taking me to the local pubs, and we're going to go out to the countryside and see the water, I'm going to be like, oh my God. It's so beautiful. And for him who sees it every day, he's going to be like, yeah, it's really nice. You're right. And I'm like, oh my God, you see the cobblestones? Oh my God. Right? But it's like, anytime you go somewhere that is not your home, you are able to amplify it. And I think that's what this film did for Britain. I think that having John Landis go there, who's not British, really did a great job of showcasing the British atmosphere, which I will do. I'll be just as equally annoying as Scott and taking tons of fucking photos.
I hope so, because but that you nailed it, because it's like basically like we're on tour with these guys during this film.
Right. It's like a little tourist of Britain minus the werewolf, and but
one that is not really focused on Britain and its countryside. We will jump into the next movie, and that is Ghost Watch that came out October 31st, 1992. Ghost Watch is a British reality horror pseudo-documentary television film, first broadcast on BBC One on Halloween night, 1992. So this is definitely one of those like mockumentary style found footage type films where this news crew shows up to this house where this family say that it is haunted. They are being haunted by this ghost or something that is happening in this house. Strange phenomena is happening. And of course, the BBC News just like, we'll go there and debunk it type stuff. We'll send their news reporter in.
Yeah.
We'll have interviews with like paranormal people that investigate this type of stuff and get their opinion. Like it literally played out like a BBC style like documentary television show. And I found this quite fascinating. Like now, if I would have watched this years ago before I was really into like the found footage genre or like the mockumentary style type of genre, I probably would not have dug this because it's very slow and does feel like you're just watching some like just news channels, like special event type deal. And I probably would not have been into this. What this reminded me a lot of was what was it called?
WNF.
Yes, WNF.
Halloween special.
Yes, it reminded me a lot of that.
Who I think this movie totally, by the way, WNF was made in 2013. So they
were heavily inspired.
Inspiration from Ghost Watch 1992.
Yeah. But yeah, I found this film to be a lot more fascinating than I probably would have expected to back in the day. Like it felt like it was real. Like it felt like you were watching just like something happening on the TV, and like I could be wrong. I should have done some research on this, but I believe people actually believe this to be real when it was aired.
Yeah. I actually spoke to my friend in Britain about it because now he's older than us. I'll give his age. It's public knowledge. He's 56. So I asked him, I said, did you ever hear this? Because let's see. So if he's 56 now, born in 1965, how old would he have been in 1992? He would have been in his 30s, right?
Yeah, 27.
27, right? So he would have been old enough. And he's like, yeah, man, this was actually a TV show. He's like, this was a TV show. And then this was a movie that was made off the TV show. So these guys actually did have a Ghost Watch TV show, and then they did this documentary film, which is why they thought it was real or not. And then he told me that the reporter, her husband, they were actually really married.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And he passed away tragically, very young, I think shortly after this was made.
Oh,
and
wow.
It really affected the show moving forward. But yeah, so anyway, which was, yet again, that's the benefit of knowing someone from the country, right? Is you can actually ask them.
Right.
And yeah, this was a big deal when it came out. People thought it was actually realistic. And I think WNF did the same thing with their documentary. Like, it's clever. I found this a very easy watch. I'll be honest, it was very easy, and not a lot happens, to be honest with you. Not a lot happens, but it keeps you engaged.
Yeah.
Because you're waiting for something to happen. They do a good job of giving you the impression that something could happen any minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? And they even play the whole the kids were behind this the whole time for a bit there. Like they have a couple of curveballs that kind of change things up. But yeah, I found this to be very easy to watch, very intriguing. And yeah, like you said, you are waiting for something to happen. And by the third act, something does happen, obviously, but it's a slow build up to it. But you're fascinated and you're glued to the screen going, okay, something's going to happen in one of these scenes real soon. I can feel it. And they just keep building it up and building it up and building it up till that third act. And man, I really dug the hell out of this film.
Oh man, it was great. What really got me was how they're kind of very they're not really believing it at first, but the female reporter goes in and, you're kind of getting these layers out of what happened in the basement, how the mom gets locked in and how people don't believe them. And then you get the fake out, with the young lady who's faking it. We think that she's the one that's kind of doing everything. And then you have the paranormal psychiatrist who's like, no, this is legit. And then the guy who's like, this isn't true at all. It's being kind of, I guess you could say, well, they're televising him in from the United States. And I don't know. I just think this did a really good job of building doubt, but what if? Doubt,
right?
But what if? and it keeps it going back and forth. And yet again, not a lot happens. And this is yet, I always go back. In the last episode, I must have shit on The Turning more than necessary, but I don't fucking care. That was a shitty fucking movie. And it was poorly done. And my biggest beef with ghost stories, because this is a ghost story and it's paranormal investigators going to a haunted house, is it's dumb and cheesy and predictable. Yeah. I did not know until we got to the last 20 minutes. I'm like, is nothing going to fucking happen here?
Right.
Like, are we just going to build this shit up and it's nothing, which is fine. And then it escalates into where you learn about who lived there in the past was a very bad person.
Yeah.
And it kind of went down paranormal activity vibes here. If you go to the future, I think it's 2 or 3 where you find out the gentleman that's the ghost has done some very bad things. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I think that's part 3.
Was it part 3?
Yeah, I think
this movie, I honestly think a lot of these paranormal films watched this movie and was like, oh, fuck, we'll just steal shit from them.
Right.
Honestly, because there's a lot of plot shit that happens in this film where you're like, well, I've seen this recently. Right. Like in the same context.
Yeah.
2 little girls being groomed by a sexual predator.
Yep.
Paranormal Activity 3 say what?
Yeah.
This came out in 1992.
Yeah. Not what do you call that? Nope, slipped my brain. I'm dumb today.
Coincidence?
Yes. Definitely not a coincidence at all.
Right.
And totally taken from it.
I think it was. It is too much. There's scenes that absolutely happen with the 2 little girls sleeping in the same bedroom.
Yep.
The filming of when they're sleeping, the figure that appears.
Yep. Very shadowy.
Like, honestly, I almost wanted to put Paranormal Activity 3 and this film up at the same time and watch it to see if it was any different.
Yeah.
And I'm not shitting on Paranormal Activity 3, just to be clear here. I'm not shitting on that. I get it. You got to reuse activities. You got to be inspired from somewhere. I can't say that if I didn't make a horror film, I wouldn't be inspired from shit that I've seen. Nothing is absolutely wrong with that at all. I'm just trying to say that this movie did it first. That's all, right? And I want to give it credit for that. I want to acknowledge that this probably not super well-known British film that was presented as a television film back in 1992, broadcast on Halloween night, did it first. Yeah. And they did a lot of other stuff first. And I think they should be acknowledged for that. What did you think of like the ending in the studio? Because basically what happens is like everywhere demons are coming out, dogs are barking everywhere, chaos is happening everywhere. What did you think of that ending?
I loved it. I love that it was like this down dark ending, like that you didn't know what the fuck happened. Just the studio lights go out, shit starts flying across the room. Everyone escapes except for the main host of the show, who's just like, yeah, everyone's gone now. It's just me. And it's like, and then all of a sudden, just like, I think you hear screaming and it just goes black. Mm-hmm. Like, I love that ending. Like, it's just like a holy shit. I can see why people freaked out when they thought this was real.
Well, especially because it's being presented like an actual documentary that's occurring. And it definitely has a very British feel to it, even when she's having disagreements with stuff and the paranormal doctor or the psychologist. It's so fascinating. And the way that they build the characters and the way that they build the relationships of this film, like this is a paranormal found footage, mockumentary film that needs to be watched. Yes. I think if you haven't watched this film, you're really missing out on the history of mockumentaries. Yeah. Like I really do think that this opened the door for a lot of paranormal films, a lot of mockumentary films, and it may not be your favorite mockumentary, and that's okay. But it's really, really well done, and it's an easy watch, and you can see where a lot of other mockumentary paranormal films got their inspiration.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, this was really fucking well done. Like this is something that everybody that's like you were saying, mockumentary style films, check this out because this is really, really good. And creepy. Very much so. And I did think we had to ask our friend to find it for us, but you can rent it, I believe, and it may be on your Prime. Depending where you are in the world, it may be more accessible to you than it is in North America. But if you can't access it, I totally recommend it. Yes, absolutely. This was a nice surprise that I was very happy that we watched for the show.
Absolutely, for sure.
And now we're going to talk about the final film in our one.
And we watched together.
Yes, we did. And definitely another well-known one. But this is Shaun of the Dead, released April 9th, 2004. Shaun is a 30-something loser with a dull, easy existence. When he's not working at the electronics store, he lives with his slovenly best friend, Ed, in a small flat on the outskirts of London. The only unpredictable element in his life is his girlfriend, Liz, who wishes desperately for Shaun to grow up and be a man. When the town is inexplicably overrun with zombies, Shaun must rise to the occasion and protect both Liz and his mother from the zombie invasion. This was one of I think this is Edgar Wright's very first feature film.
Was it really his first?
Yep. Before this, all he did, or I'm not sure if all he did, but what he worked on was the British TV series Spaced, which also starred Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and
which is where he started working with them, and
and also has a couple reoccurring characters in Shaun of the Dead. Were also in Spaced as well. But yeah, this movie, if I remember everything correctly, him and Shaun, or Simon Pegg, got inspired to do this film, not only obviously because they're huge fans of George A. Romero's Dead trilogy or Dead quadrilogy, what do you call of the Dead films, but they also did a small segment in one of the episodes of Spaced where the main character, played by Simon Pegg, is playing Resident Evil, and he passes out because he was stoned, and he falls asleep and has a nightmare of Resident Evil being real and the zombies are attacking him. He's going around shooting them and killing them. And you can see that, this was where Shaun of the Dead, kind of the seed of the film, kind of came to be, and just kind of expanded upon that. And wow, like, this is a very British horror comedy, very British the very British style dry humor.
Oh man,
so brilliantly written. And not only is it funny as hell and just very entertaining, and all the characters are likable or despicable depending on who you are looking at, they do such an amazing job of also making this a legit horror film that does such a great job of homaging George Romero's Dead. Like, this film does everything right. Like, this is a 10 out of 10 horror comedy for me that also hits with the feels and the horror at the same time.
It's funny. You said something about like the characters in this. When I first saw this, it came out in 2004. I was 21. I was like, oh man, why is that roommate such an asshole? Now watching it in like 2022, I'm like, fuck, why is Nick Frost such an asshole?
Yeah.
I now emphasize with the roommate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, you got a jobless bum that literally sits there and plays video games all day long, says that he will sell weed to bring in money, but every time someone calls him to buy weed, he's like, nah, man, I ain't got nothing. It just never fucking sells weed the whole time. And he is a complete dick to his Shaun's other roommate, like, constantly, when the dude's working his ass off and just wanting to live a regular life. So, like, adult Scott, I feel for that roommate.
Oh, don't you though? Honestly, like, I was fucking watching this movie and I'm like, yeah, man, you're fucking right, roommate. That guy's a fucking loser.
Right. And like, you even have every right to yell at Shaun, even though like Shaun does work and is a good roommate, but Shaun lets this happen. So
and
you
have
every right
a loser. Like, he is a loser. Like, when you're watching this film at 21, you're like, oh, Shaun's not that bad. When you're watching this film at fucking 39, I'm like, bitch, what you doing with him?
Right.
Cut your fucking cord. Like, this dude's a fucking loser.
Like, he is the type that will just like, he has a routine that never changes.
Oh man, like, and he's just so like, and he doesn't do anything for his girlfriend ever, but like, he can't even be bothered to make dinner reservations, and like, he's a piece of shit. Anyway,
and then he also like never introduced her to his mom, but like, I love But speaking of routine, that's one thing this movie does a great job of showing, is that Shaun is in this constant loop of a routine,
which shows what happens in your 30s. Yep.
I was like, he just gets up, shows him go to the bathroom, get ready, shows him walk out the door, start walking through the town, go to the gas station, buy his smokes or whatever he's buying, his drinks, comes back out, goes back outside, runs into the exact same people every time on his way home. And then, and then he does that routine again later on when the zombie invasion has happened. And he's just just like in that routine that he is not observing that everyone that he ran into originally is now a zombie. So he's just like, yeah, whatever, just kind of getting through doing the motions over and over again. Like, I love how they show that. Like, it's like, this is a legit routine that he does every day before work and every day after work.
Yep, absolutely. It's so well done. And I think the difference, and yet again, we're not going to analyze the film as much. Well, I'm not going to, because like, it's been analyzed to death. But the thing that really stood out to me watching this is a difference between someone who is British making a film in Britain, because he doesn't really fucking highlight anything.
No.
Unlike American Werewolf in London, which is basically a tourism video for come to Britain.
Right.
And here's some werewolves. You have this film where it's like, here's like the rugged working class of Britain.
Yeah.
The reality is most people have 3 roommates in a flat because it's expensive to live in Britain, as I've been learning from my friends that live there, especially Kate and Matt have told me how expensive London is and just the price to be in London. Like it's expensive. And also, what was I going to say? The kind of like the mundane going to the pub and like that's what they do. Like that's what they do. They go out to the pub and it's a very much like day in day out same kind of jazz, showing the streets, showing the like the neighbors and like the commute, like even the lawns and the backyards and shit. Like it's totally a British film made in Britain about a zombie outbreak occurring. Yes, definitely. Obviously, we know it plays homage to, George A. Romano, but it's also just like, it's like a regular British day. Yeah. It's like watching Coronation Street with zombies, only better. Yeah. And, where you have a film like American Werewolf in London, which is telling the story, but at the same time telling it for an American audience, because it's like, okay, we're going to show you these vast countrysides and stuff. Like British people are like, I don't give a fuck. We know what it looks like. It's fine. It's like if someone showed me a video or a movie that had to do with Canada and it was like, oh, look at the vast Canadian shield. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking rocks and trees and water. I know what it looks like. I've been there a billion fucking times before. You wouldn't have the same appreciation for it. And I really appreciate this about this film. Everything you said, I agree with, but I think I love the true British humor, the true British dialogue, and the true British daily interactions that they make fun of in this. I think it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah. And also I gotta give it a point this out, but like Edgar Wright, you can see the editing stylings in Shaun of the Dead. You can definitely see in all of his future films too. Like, and then obviously with Last Night in Soho with the dance scene where he's cutting back and forth between Anya Taylor-Joy and the other girl, I forget her name, but like just kind of cutting back and forth while they're doing the exact dance, and like the editing in that beautiful. And like he has that editing styling here, and it's beautiful, and like does things to the beats of music, which he uses in I can't remember the movie, but I had Kevin Spacey in it, Baby Driver. He does that in that. So yeah, like he's very good at what he does, and you can see like this was his first feature film, and like he just kept getting better and better and better as he kept going, and I love it. And yep, this was such a beloved film that George Romero had Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg play zombie cameos in Land of the Dead. They were in the Land of the Dead bar where they were tied up and you could get pictures with the zombies, and they were the 2 zombies that were tied up for the photos. And so I know that was like a big deal to them when they got called up by George Romero to be like, hey, come do this for in this film because I've seen your film and you have a love for this. Let's do it. So I thought that was also neat. Just like, yeah, where you're talking about more of the actual movie, the dialogue and all that stuff, I'm talking about more like the making of, because like I just find it fascinating. It just, and this has been one of my favorite films since I've seen it way back in the day. I fucking love it. Shaun of the Dead is like something I can watch a million times over. I can repeat lines from it over and over and over again. Just find it so fascinating.
And to make this clear, we were fucking drunk and high when we watched this movie, the 3 of us, or at least I was. I was definitely buzzing. And it's a great movie to watch buzzed. We ate pizza and we had snackies, and it's so like there's some sad parts in it, like where his mom turns and he has to shoot her and stuff, but like you're right, we're talking more about the making and just the perception of how it's filmed and put together. And I definitely can say by the end of all this, in the UK films that we watched, whether there be films that we've known and love or films that we didn't realize inspired a lot of other films, I feel like we really learned a lot. Like I know that sounds like really cheesy, but I feel like I've learned more about the filming of stuff from the UK, whether it be Scotland, Wales, Ireland, or Britain. And I look forward to our next countries that we'll do. I know we've done French films and Spanish films. Maybe we'll dive more into films, maybe in Egypt, or maybe there's films like we have to kind of see where we can get. We usually do 4 films, but maybe if we can even find 3 that we can talk about, even 2, if that's all that country has, maybe 2 is good. Whatever we can do.
Yeah, because I'll say like one that I'll definitely want to talk about, New Zealand. They've got a lot of good ones too.
And we did talk about doing the Ukraine, and we did talk about doing Russia as well. And the reason why we're choosing to do Russia, just so we're clear, is because there's lots of people who are from Russia that do not support the invading of Ukraine.
Yeah.
And if we are going to celebrate Russian filmmakers, we don't want to put everyone in the same pod as Putin and what he is choosing to do. So we do want to make sure that we still continue to practice diversity and acceptance. So those probably will be some other countries we look into. And of course, we want to support Ukraine. And not that talking about their films, is making any difference in the war.
No.
But it at least promotes the culture and provides, something else that we can learn about the country other than the horrible devastation that is happening there. So
exactly,
that is probably some areas that we'll go into as well. We've covered Aussie films in the past. I don't know if we'll do Australia because we have done it with Tim and Daniel.
Yep.
So
we got their insight on a lot of stuff.
And we got their insight too, right? So I feel like that would just be us repeating them. But
same
yeah,
with,
this
the
has been
Japanese ghost stories. Like, I mean,
yes.
we could probably find other. We could probably find other Japanese horror films that are not like the typical ghost stories that we've talked about if we wanted to.
Yeah, we could, but I don't know if that's as important as maybe finding stuff from other countries that, haven't been as well known. Like we have Germany, for example. We might want to, delve into Germany a little bit more.
Yeah,
Brazil, right? So like there will be definitely some countries that we still have to do. But yeah, this has been very, very interesting. But for our Out of the Dark segment, we're going to talk about werewolves. And the one reason I wanted to talk about werewolves in this episode is because I knew we were going to talk about American Werewolf in London. And I know how much Scott loves the transition of the werewolf. I'm just pulling up a list of werewolf movies here so I can look like I'm super smart talking about them. But I know Scott also is passionate about his type of werewolves, and he actually really cares about this topic. So I'm going to let him lead on it.
All right. So yeah, like I am a huge fan of werewolves. Werewolf? Werewolf. Sorry. I had to do a Mel Brooks thing there for you. But no, I do love werewolves. It all depends though, because there are not a lot of great werewolf films.
But you don't think so?
No, because werewolf films are very hard to do. They take a lot when it comes to special effects. And there's a lot of stories that have just been retread. Obviously, Wolfman being a universal classic. Spoiler alert: I have still not seen the Wolfman. Don't kill me. I'll get to it at some point. I know a lot about it though, with Talbot and the Gypsy Curse and all that. I did see the Wolfman remake. Love it. But for me, when it comes to werewolves, each person is different. But I am a fan of the bipedal style werewolves, the ones that are walking on just 2 feet like humans, that are like just tall and monstrous. And one of the films that did that very, very awesome was The Howling. And my fandom for that film has dropped a little bit over the years, but I still absolutely fucking love the werewolf design in that, the werewolf effects, the werewolf transformations in that. And obviously American Werewolf in London. I do love the werewolf transformation in that one as well. Just not a fan of the wolf on all fours, even though this wolf looked fucking horrifying and monstrous. But no, I am more the bipedal fan. And that's where a lot of the horror films go nowadays. Because you have films like Dog Soldiers, Howl, Late Phases. All those, I would say, are good werewolf films that show plenty of werewolf. Tim Davis on the Horror for Dummies went on a rant few episodes back on their show, going on a rant about how you're promoting this movie to be a werewolf film, but you don't give me a goddamn werewolf. And one of those was a film called Bloodthirsty from last year that he went on this rant about. It showed the very, very early transformation of a werewolf, but never showed the full-blown werewolf. And I know Tim Davis gets upset about that. I do as well, though I'll give the movie a little more credits when it's due. But I also am the fan where it's if you're gonna do a werewolf film, go big or go home. There isn't a lot of room for the low budget werewolf films where it's we're gonna talk about what's going on and feeling a little bit of the curse, but we're not gonna show the werewolf at all. It's that is if you're gonna do a werewolf film, show us the werewolf.
What about in a comedy film like Werewolves Within?
They
'Cause you
showed the
really
werewolf.
don't. Yeah, but like right at the end.
Yeah.
Like, and that was okay. You didn't think
Yeah,
it needed to be in there more?
I would have liked it to be in there more, but I
Okay.
also like that film did a great job of just like character dialogue. And like I said, I can give movies credit where credit is due. Like if you're not going to show the werewolf that much, at least make the movie entertaining to move along. Werewolves Within did that. Yeah, I would have loved to see a little more of the werewolf, but at the same time, like they at least showed you a werewolf. Where yeah, Bloodthirsty, you see her just kind of have like fangs and not really much else.
Yeah.
So films like that I'm not a fan of, but like and I also appreciate, when werewolf films try to do something different, like Ginger Snaps, where it's talking about a girl transitioning into a woman with like having her period and becoming an adult and like using that as a form of like werewolf, like that like she's having changes in her body. Well, in this movie, her changes in her body are quite physical. But
yes, they are.
I love that about that film. I like how they can use that as a metaphor, and like Ginger Snaps is a very good thing about that. The werewolf in that, I could take it or leave it. It's a wolfless or a hairless werewolf, but at the same time, I love the story, and they do show a werewolf, and it's vicious and mean. And same with The Cursed, that they show werewolves in that, and that is a different take on a werewolf, which I absolutely love.
The Curse 2021, right?
No, yeah, 2022.
Because there's another Curse that came out in like the
early
90s.
2000s.
We're not talking about that one, everyone. We're not talking about that one. We're talking
Wes Craven, what did you do?
Yeah. We're talking about the most recent one. And I agree with you, Scott. I think the thing that stands out to me in The Curse that just came out is the scene where they kill the wolf and then she's inside, the body's inside, and it's all fucked up, and like that whole concept of that curse and the fangs, and oh man, it's that movie is like, and that to me is a great fucking werewolf film, but also made in Ireland and by people where the legend actually began. So
right. And not a lot of like, not a ton of CGI. Where that's where a lot of like, you could do CGI in werewolf movies. Sure, no problem. I get it. Werewolf transformations with practical effects, very tough to do. So yeah, I have no problem with the CGI werewolf transformations. But yeah, just show us a werewolf and make your werewolf movie good. Like, unfortunately, Wes Craven's Cursed movie was not good.
Yeah, I never saw it. Now there's a movie, I feel like, have you seen it, called Weir?
No, I have heard of this one.
WER, and it's in France, and a female attorney defends a murder suspect who brutish appearance and a deadly secret, and I guess it's supposed to be a werewolf film.
I'll say I've heard of it. It's definitely what I want to watch. I'll just see if I can find it.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out. One of the werewolf films that really stuck out to me that I saw was Hollow from 2015, about the train in London.
Yep.
I thought that was a fucking exceptional werewolf film. I love the werewolves that they showed. I love the buildup of the characters and what was going on. So yeah.
Yep, that and Late Phases were some from like the 2010s that I thought were really good. I don't know if you've seen Late Phases, where the werewolf takes over at a senior living facility.
No, but I should watch that. That would totally be up my alley. I think you've mentioned it to me before, but I'll be honest, my werewolf knowledge is very limited. Like, I'm looking at these werewolf movies and seeing how little I've actually seen. Like, for goodness sakes, they consider Twilight werewolf movies, and I've seen the Twilight films. And yeah, you know what? They transfer into wolves in that film. It's not werewolves; they transfer into actual wolves.
Yep, and that is in indigenous culture type.
Yeah,
they're
right?
They're shapeshifters, not werewolves.
Right, and I think that's it falls into the werewolf category, but it is following indigenous culture, right? Which we're obviously, as two fucking white people, not going to criticize. Let's make
right, exactly.
Right, and how you feel about the Twilight films or not is separate than how you feel about the indigenous culture part of it. I agree with you about Ginger Snaps. I think that's a really good slow burn of how she's turning into a werewolf. I think the movie Wolf with Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer was always really cool. I enjoy the part where he's like trying to jump out of the cage at the end. I always thought that part was really, really fucking awesome. I've never seen Silver Bullet.
Oh, Silver Bullet, also another very good one. I forgot to mention that one, but that's also a bipedal werewolf, and that werewolf is terrifying looking, and it's a Stephen King story, so the story itself is always going to be good, and like this one is It's definitely that 80s style. Like, it's very good. Highly recommend that one as well.
And I haven't seen the original Wolfman with Lonnie Chaney Jr. So, I feel very naive in that area. I can't really speak to that. I do like when the werewolves are bipedal. I agree with you. I don't mind the standing upright one, like the one that's portrayed in Teen Wolf. I think it's comical.
Well, that's the ones I like, the bipedal ones, the ones that are standing
bipedal.
like
sorry, wrong. I like the ones that are running around like wolvesies.
Okay.
Right. So what's not bipedal? Is that pedal?
Yeah, quadpedal, I guess. I don't know.
Quadpedal? I don't know. We're very smart here on Friday Nightmares, so we really know terms. I like it when they look like wolves and they run around like puppies, and I like puppies, and that's why I like those wolves. I do like when, to go fast, they kind of like get down on all fours. I like when they get down on all fours. And I like when they run because they get the speed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They got 4 legs instead of 2, so they can go a lot quicker. And I think that's what I liked about the Howl movie, is that they were able to kind of stalk them and get them. Same with American Werewolf in London. I do like that look a little bit more. Bipedal, I think, is more humanish, which I think is still cool. But I do like when they turn into wolves. I even do like when they turn into full out wolves, like you become a wolf and you're just like super fucking killing, all that kind of shit. Now, what do we think about the different mythology when it comes to how you turn into a wolf? So we got, in Curse 2022, you would just get bit by the silver teeth.
Yeah, but that was
not right.
Well, Cursed is basically a different take on the Wolfman from like the Universal Wolfman, because it's a gypsy curse, and that's what happens with Wolfman. He gets cursed by a gypsy, in that it's actually a curse. Where in Cursed 2022, it's a cursed item that affects people and turns them into these wolves. So that is my favorite mythology, because I love.
No, I thought it was the teeth. No, the teeth.
Yeah, that's the cursed item. The gypsy cursed the item.
But the teeth has to bite you, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why it's like I'm saying, like it's a cursed item where when it bites you, it's what turns
Sorry.
you.
Yes.
But yeah, that is like my favorite type of mythology, is just the gypsy mythology, because there isn't a lot of things that involve gypsy horror.
Yes, I agree. When it comes to the werewolf mythology, because I know in Wolf with Jack Nicholson, he was bit. Howl, it was being bit as well. And the transition always seems to be a little bit slower. In some cases, you die. In some cases, like an American Werewolf in London, you live, but then you transfer into the wolf when the moon is full. And I always think it's funny that it always corresponds to the full moon. And that nothing can really kill you but silver. And I think that's consistent in all the films, is silver, and I think maybe burning to death. Like, is that a thing too? Or no?
I think in some werewolf films, but the only one that the silver is not consistent in is American Werewolf in London, because he can get killed by regular bullets.
Yes, because they shoot him and he dies. We think he dies.
Yeah,
we don't really know.
But yeah, I like that the curse that, there are like those certain werewolf movies where when they get bit, they like transform like almost immediately, where they almost treat it like a zombie virus. But I like the ones where it's more, you get bit and it could take up to a month for the next full moon to be here, and that's when you start to transform. Like, you'll suffer and deal with these images and all of a sudden craving blood and meat and all that stuff, and have like some animalistic urges and be a little more cranky, but you don't actually transform into the wolf till the full moon. And I like that. I like that a lot more, because with this film, like with werewolves, one thing I love about them for the most part, like the old, like a lot of the like classics, is the person that is cursed is usually a good person that that is unfortunately cursed with this thing that will turn them into a bloodthirsty, murderous monster, and that they just can't help themselves.
Absolutely. I think you're 100% right. And I think that, and in werewolf films, it tends to be a good person. It tends to be someone who's of the innocent that kind of ends up being put in this really shitty situation with being turned into a wolf. I think you really hit the nail on the head there, Scotty, with that one. It's a really interesting genre, and I realized how little I know about it. Like, I've really listed the films I've seen it, The Howling. I haven't seen Silver Bullet. I've seen Ginger Snaps. Like, I think I've seen some, and there's a lot of course shitty werewolf films that are out there. But it's really hard to sort through following the quality one. I think you're right. It's hard. It's a film it's a genre that's hard to do well. Just because of the transition and showing the wolf, and what kind of wolf do you make, and how much money do you have, and what kind of budget can you do? And it's a really interesting concept. We haven't talked about Underworld, and that came up with the werewolf shit, that there's werewolves in Underworld as well.
Right.
I haven't seen Underworld in so long. I couldn't
neither have
start
I.
to talk about it. Like, I don't even remember it, to be honest with you. I like blank comes to my mind when I think of Underworld. But I really look forward to kind of expanding my knowledge in the werewolf section. So if anyone has suggestions on werewolf films that Scott and I haven't mentioned, please add them to our page, because I really don't know much, and I really would like to kind of expand my knowledge of that genre a little bit more.
Yeah, because there are a lot out there, some better than others. Like, it's just one of those genres that's very tough to do unless you have a budget, or unless
there's
you
a lot
are
of podcasts out there.
Yeah,
and some are better than ours.
But there's only one Friday Nightmares.
And that 3 is Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast.
Yeah.
The Horror Returns. 4, Psychosomatic Sci Podcast.
5,
and
Horror for Dummies.
Horror for Dummies was what I was getting to. Oh my God, basically everyone else. If you like Scott and I, you'll love them.
Right.
But yeah, this has been a really fun topic to talk about. So we look forward to seeing everyone again in a couple of weeks. As a friendly reminder, our next episode will not be released until May 27th, which will be about a month off, just due to my travels. Hopefully I don't get bit by a werewolf.
Right. Stay off the moors at night.
Yeah. Can you imagine though? I wish if I was a werewolf, I would go and kill fucking pedophiles and like rapists, men and women. And like just find pieces of shit, and mostly men though, because unfortunately it's a mostly a male thing, and fuck their shit up if I was a werewolf. Like, if I could like be a werewolf and controlled who I killed, I would do it.
Hell yeah.
Hands down.
Me too.
I would. Hands down. So maybe if I meet one, I can negotiate with it and be like, look, I'm fine with this being a curse, but I want control over who I fuck up, and see what I'll let you know how it goes, Scott.
All right, please do.
I'll let you know how that conversation goes.
Good thing I live in the US, so you won't be hunting me down right away. I will not be at least on the list.
I wouldn't kill you.
Well, I mean, if you couldn't help yourself, like, and you had to go into a murderous rage.
But you also look like a
safe
wolf.
Distance.
Look at your beard. True. I would just think you're one of my kind.
That is true. That is true.
Oh, you would just come there and you would like give me belly rubs and be like, "Who's a good Heather?
Who's a good Heather? Oh, you want a treat? Oh, that's a good Heather."
I'm like sleeping on your floor, all curled up, and like protecting you.
Werewolf.
You keep me like a pet. You like we go for walks, and like I'm like growling at everything that moves, and like stealing people's guns in Michigan, and fucking
I'd have to boop you on the snout if you chase after my cats. I'd have to boop you on the snout. That's bad, Heather. Bad.
You know, right? You entertain me and give what's the word? Calm me down by sedating me by giving me cider and nachos.
Yes. Yes, perfect.
Oh man, that'd be great.
Oh, I love
anyway, we will be back again in 4 weeks. In the meantime, I don't know what Scott's gonna do. Enjoy his vacation as well, I guess.
Yeah, I'll say I won't have to worry about editing for a while after this episode's released. So that'll be a nice little reprieve and just kind of chill, watch some movies, do some
watch more than 2 2022s is his goal between now and when we record again. Hopefully he has 4 2022s to talk about.
There may only be 4 that I talk about because the others may not be worth watching. Who knows? We'll find out.
Who knows? Well, thank you as always to everybody for listening. You can find us on the Legion Network, and you can find Legion Network on any of the podcast apps that you listen to. And finally, if you are not a member of the Legion Patreon yet, Scotty,
what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
Please join the Legion Patreon today, and you can get access to awesome shows by Bo and other people on the Legion Podcast Network that do releases. Scott and I used to do that, and we haven't because we've been busy, but we will be doing it again.
Yes, we're not done yet.
No. Scott and I, controllers up, cards down, everybody. Message Scott if you want that back. I have nothing to do with why that's not happening now.
All right, folks. Scott needs a breaky break from podcasting besides just the main show.
A breaky break. Did you say a breaky break?
I did say a breaky break.
Drinky poos. Walkies.
Drinky poos. Yum yums.
Yum yums. Other dialogue that you've developed from me. You said something the other day about someone taking their dog for walkies, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's totally because I say fucking walkies all the time.
Yep.
It rubs off on each other though. Like, one day I'll see Sack Gallic too. I'll be like, I feel like you're my favorite star because Scott, that guy you met with the beard? Oh, him. Yeah, him. Because he also likes gremlins. He's like, I know. He was weird. I'm like, I know.
He wouldn't stop smelling me.
But you haven't seen weirder yet, but you will.
True.
Anyway, so yeah, we'll see you guys on the 27th. So until then, do you have anything to say to the good people, Scott?
Yes. So until next time, kiddies, beware the moors at night. And Heather, I want to say to you, I hope you have a wonderful, safe, and fantastic trip. And just please do not get bit by a werewolf, and just enjoy your time.
I feel like it's because you don't want to have to pay for my vaccinations.
It gets expensive.
Well, thank you, Scotty. I will have a fabulous time. I'm sure I'm doing a ghost walk on the first day that I'm there. So maybe I'll talk about that in our page. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
we'll
don't know if
see.
anyone really cares about my trip, but we'll see.
I'm sure a lot of people do.
Right. So anyway, until next time, see you guys later.
Yep. Goodbye.
Bye.